Blog Talk Radio.
Is racism hurting you? On issues of race, are you unable to speak, think, and act with clarity and confidence? Are you tired of laughing when nothing is funny, smiling when you are not happy, agreeing when you really disagree? At CounterRacism.com, you can learn specific strategies and techniques to counter the behaviors of the people who practice racism in all areas of activity, using words correctly, following counter-racist logic, even counter-racist science projects designed to reveal what racism is, how it works, and how to counter it. The open-source code writing format allows you to pick and choose from a variety of counter-racist suggestions so you can produce the code that works for you. Stop by CounterRacism.com today and help replace racism with justice.
That's Counter-Racism.com.
Our people are very serious about not being very serious. Meanwhile, white people are very serious about playing hardball against us. And this hardball is called genocide.
Context of White Supremacy. Gus T Renegade, Justice, in for another program to share constructive information on racism, white supremacy, what it is, and how it works. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the program. Hope it is constructive. You're getting information that you can use. If you do not think the program is of constructive value, please figure out something else to do with your time. We got too many problems to be just sitting around entertaining ourselves. Before we get started, again, if you think the program is constructive, it is super helpful if you can share links. It helps to promote the program, get more non-white people thinking about racism, white supremacy. Certainly, I've never taken the position that everyone has to agree with, my stance or any of the guests who come on the program, their stance on racism, white supremacy, but just, to begin thinking about these ideas and ways of resolving this problem with white people immediately. So share the links, Twitter, Facebook, just anywhere else. If there are other websites, if you have links anywhere else on the web that you can promote the program, please do. It's super helpful. They might even bring in other folks who might want to invest. And if there are folks out there who can do graphic designs, that would be a great investment to get some more graphic images for the program. I was actually thinking for the logo, I would like to have white people on the logo because they're the problem, and to really identify it's white people that are causing this, and to have just not a picture of the Klan or anything, but a regular white family, maybe around the dinner table, smiling, laughing, normal. The last people you would think of, non-white people would think of when you say racist white supremacist, an image of them, and then maybe white people are the problem in bold letters somewhere on the flyer, but something like that. But if you can do graphic designs, you have some ideas, that would be great. That would be a great investment, maybe to make an image we could use for the show, flyers, people could, download them. So if you have those talents, super helpful. I would appreciate it. All righty. Hopping into the program, I did not watch the Super Bowl yesterday. Today's date would be Monday, February the 7th, 2011. The so-called Super Bowl was yesterday, and I did not watch the game. We were broadcasting live with Dr. Layla O. Africa. Very constructive information, in my opinion. Check the archives if you missed it. But I didn't see the game, but I had every intention of watching the commercials. White people, they spend millions of dollars on these little 30-second blibs. And even, when I was confused about racism, white supremacy, it was a big deal to see what commercials, which ones you were going to like and all of that. But as I have become more informed about racism, white supremacy, often the ads during the Super Bowl, lots of very interesting images, ideas, messages being sent out. And this year, man, it was a doozy. Maybe it's been like this the whole time. I just haven't been watching the game, so I haven't really been investigating and checking to see, which commercials that they, showed or what have you. I didn't even do this last year. Go back and look at the commercials. So maybe this is something that should be done on a regular basis. Really, I think I've said consistently, if I had a improved quality of life, I would watch a lot of television. Not for the sake of being entertained, but I would have a pen and a pad handy to take notes. This is the stuff that is, to some degree, I'm not going to say totally, but this is these commercials, the images on the screen. This plays a part in the victimization of non-white people and why we have such non-constructive, illogical behavior, these images and the things that they shoot on the screen. And I mean, how many people watched the Super Bowl yesterday? How many confused non-white people watched the Super Bowl yesterday, watched, probably 40, 50 commercials and no understanding of racism, white supremacy? The brain trashing continues. We're going to hop into it. I have some sound clips to go with the commercials as well, so I'll break some down, and hopefully we can from folks out there as well. Anyone out there, if you heard any sort of analysis or critique by other people on the commercials that aired yesterday, I would love to hear that. So when I go to the phone lines, if you heard other people talking about any of the commercials, particularly if you heard someone saying that they thought particular commercials were racist. I would love to hear that. If anyone wrote articles about that, I would love to know about that. I was spending most of my time watching the commercials and trying to build on my own analysis of what I saw. But I definitely would be interested in hearing other people and what they saw as well. To begin with, there was so much racism, white supremacy. You can just kind of throw this out there and pick and choose as you go. It was as usual. White people were on their job. But to start with, I think the first commercial I saw, it didn't really have anything directly to do with racism, white supremacy upon my first look. Now, I'm sure, if I took a couple other looks, but the thing that really got me and made me pay attention, and where I want to start with, I just saw the photo image for it. There is a commercial for Motorola that aired during the Super Bowl yesterday, and it's for some sort of computer gizmo, empowering the people. That was the name of the commercial. Showed this white guy getting on a train or a subway, and he's got his, computer gizmo, and he can read books on it, and it gets directions. He can order flowers. He can take photographs. It's just dandy little gadget that he's got. But the thing that really hopped out at me, this computer, he can read books on it. He has an ebook or a Kindle of some sort. The book that he's reading, and they zoom in, and red colors. I was thinking of Michael Tessarian. They zoom in so you can see, what book that he is reading, a book, and they should cover a book. There it is if you are listening at Blog Talk Radio. It was George Orwell's 1984. And to me, for that to be the first commercial that I saw, it really stood out to me just in terms of this is programming. They are sending messages in these commercials. They spend millions of dollars for 30 seconds of ad time. They really put a lot of thought into every aspect of what you see, the colors, the actors, all of that. Means something. They don't just throw things out there for no reason. They spend a lot. They have think tanks, people who make a lot of money to sit down and precision craft these images that are supposed to sell their products and to push an idea. That's actually the way I wrote it down. I made a chart as I went through to analyze these commercials. What product are they selling? And then what ideas are they pushing along with the product? I wrote that down, and I'll share as we go. But that book is extremely important to white people. And just to think a moment, out of the hundreds of thousands of books that have been written, out of all of the books that they could have chosen, they didn't pick the autobiography of Malcolm X. They didn't pick the ISIS Papers. They didn't pick Huckleberry Finn. They didn't pick Harry Potter. They picked George Orwell's 1984. I hope more people, that book has come up on this program before. Anyone, if you recall when we were doing the programs and discussing why I was no longer working with War on the Horizon and Irritated Genie, a key aspect of that revolved around words, and specifically words directly from that book, 1984. I hope people listening to this program, maybe if you haven't read the book, at least be lazy and watch the movie. It's good. It will hold your attention. But you should really read the book because it's all about words. We talk about words frequently on this broadcast. George Orwell, 1984. It aired during the Super Bowl yesterday. It was referenced during the Super Bowl yesterday. The next thing that really stuck out there that caught my attention to say, yeah, I'm really going to pay attention and really try to pick out everything I possibly can as I watch these commercials. They used a term. This was in Hyundai commercial, and it was in the title of the commercial was the term anachronistic thinking. Okay, that was in the title for the commercial. And I don't know if people out there, if they're familiar with that word, if they know what it means or what have you. I have used that word before. An acronym, I'll say it again slowly, anacronym. Okay, an anacronym. Maybe I should spell it. Actually, I'll do that. I will look it up and spell the word so that you all can add this term to your vocabulary. All right. Anacronym. Okay, here we go. ANACHRONYM. Anacronym. Anacronym. That's the word. Okay, it's a literary device where something is out of place, out of time. There's actually a really good definition. I'm going to use the definition from my trusty Mac dictionary here. I've used this before, and I was thinking I should have anachronism. Okay, anachronism. 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 A thing belonging or appropriate to a period other than that in which it exists. A special thing that is conspicuously old-fashioned. An act of attributing a custom, event, or object to a period to which it does not belong. And I think there's actually even a better one. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can get the add a little more to it as we roll. Let me see if there's a better definition. There is. I'm gonna get it. Hang tight. I'm gonna go to one more site, dictionary.com. I use that online dictionary reference source pretty frequently. They generally have pretty solid definitions. That's the source I'm using now, dictionary.com. There's only one person out there who will remember, because I never said this term on a program, but I had it in my notes to use for a particular program, and I did not. Okay, so this is the definition from dictionary.com. Something or someone that is not in its correct historical or chronological time, especially a thing or person that belongs to an earlier time. An error in chronology in which a person, object, event is assigned a date or period other than the correct one. Okay. This term, generally it's a literary device. If folks out there, anybody out there who is really good in English literature, it's generally a literary device. When you read novels and things, there'll be something that's out of place time-wise. I was using this term with regards to black nationalism and saying that black nationalism is anachronistic thinking. And I shared this with one person. 909, I think, is the only person I said this to, and I didn't say it on the program, but I was stunned when I saw that in the commercial yesterday, because the few times that I've used the term, other people hadn't heard of it before. I had to, explain what it meant and everything, and then it popped up in the Super Bowl commercial yesterday. So I just thought that was quite interesting, and it had my mind razor focused, because I felt like, okay, this is no coincidence. There must be a lot of really interesting material in the commercials, and I was not disappointed at all when I went ahead and watched the rest of them. Now for the racism, white supremacy that I observed in the commercials. Let's see where to begin. I guess I will begin with just general information that I gathered, and then I'll go into detail with specific commercials. I have sound clips for some of the commercials, and I'll go to the phone lines for people who called in once I get through with the commercials that I want to break down. But just in terms of general information that I gathered, out of the commercials that I saw, 21 of them were car commercials. 11 were movie commercials. 9 were for websites. 6 were for non-alcoholic beverages. 5 were for foods. And 4 were for beers. There were then some miscellaneous others, florists and things like that. But the major things that were being promoted in terms of products, food and beverages, beer, food and beverages, websites, movies, and cars. Cars far and away more than anything, and things associated with cars as well. Gas and tires, and even some of the websites were just about cars and getting cars. So one thing I thought, just looking at that information, non-white people, we should really, as much as possible, be, hey, we're not trying to be into spending a lot of money for cars. I think a big part of the racist program has been to get non-white people to consume and spend in a very frivolous, non-constructive manner, destructive manner, I should say, to be accurate. And, you can go back and look at the film Superfly. I think that's been discussed on this program before, and getting black people, those big Cadillacs back in the 70s. And they do the same thing now. Now it's the Escalade, same company, but to get these luxury vehicles, living outside of our means, and to get these status symbol objects to make us feel good, another form of soothing lotion to make us feel better under the system of white supremacy. So I think that would be a strong counter-racist strategic move to say that we're not into cars. Those of us who, are in a situation where we don't have to have a car, I think that should be considered. I think white people would be furious if black people began to divest in cars. We're not about spinners. We're not about rims. We're not about, getting a brand new Escalade and all this other foolishness. We're not about that at all. If we got to do a lot of traveling, I'll have a vehicle, but I'm going to make sure it's something practical, safe. It'll get me where I need to go. But we're just not about, trying to show off with a vehicle. We're not on that. We see you all put a lot of emphasis on that, so we're not going to invest and put our money into vehicles. I think that would be a great plan. Get a bike if you can. Like I said, I know, for some people that's just not going to be feasible. But even for people who need a car, you don't need a luxury car. You don't need an Escalade in a system of white supremacy. You don't need a Bentley. You don't need the most expensive thing on the lot in the system of white supremacy. And I think white people would be really upset if we started to move in that direction. Those films, that was very interesting to me. I've said, we've done a lot of programs discussing films here at the C.O.W.S, and I concede, hey, there are tons of things going on in the world. You have, major conflict worldwide, but specifically in the area of the world known as Egypt right now. Frederick Germain Carter, I have not forgotten about that. You have a lot of things happening worldwide, and to spend so much time talking about movies and films, it should be justified, and I think white people, they spend a lot of money on these movies. They make a lot of money on these movies, and these movies last. They have movies that they made 100 years ago that people still watch. They have a big effect on the way we think, the way we see the world. They play a big role in our white identification, and frequently white people are making movies that are talking specifically, explicitly about racism, white supremacy. So that's why I spend a lot of time. I feel like films, again, as I said, that was a great tool that hooked me on counter-racism, and realizing that you can study films and understand, grasp how white people practice racism, white supremacy. It can be a great tool. And just to get those numbers from yesterday, 11 different Super Bowl commercials talking about film. And 11 different films. So I thought that was very significant. You had more commercials during the Super Bowl for movies than you did for beer. So a lot more than twice the number of commercials for different films as opposed to beers during the Super Bowl. So just think about that. I thought that was quite interesting. Moving specifically into exact commercials and what I thought was going on, I put an asterisk next to maybe 10 commercials. And I'll discuss those 10. I have sound clips to go with some of the 10 commercials, and then I'll share a quick thought on some of the other commercials that I watched, and then I'll go to the phone line so folks can share what they saw. And again, if you have heard commentary or read commentary from anyone else about some of the commercials that aired yesterday, I would love to hear feedback on that. In fact, you can post comments if you have links, if people blogged or if there were news reports on some of these commercials and you feel they're relevant, feel free to post them in the comment section for this specific episode. I think that would be constructive. Okay, so the first commercial that I looked at, or I'm just going down my list. So commercial number one, a movie, Battle for Los Angeles. I actually have a sound clip. I can actually play this commercial. These are all pretty quick, so I think I have about, 8 of these commercials that I'm going to play. Any commercial that I play, don't get the product. I'm going to try and balance that out because, I am advertising their product. So don't go see this film. Get the bootleg. Don't go to the movie theater. You shouldn't be going to the movies anyway under white supremacy. Just watch it. Watch it at home. What have you? Don't waste your money at these theaters going to see their Tyler Perry and other racist cinema. So this is the commercial for Battle for Los Angeles, or I think it's Battle Los Angeles. That's the title of the movie, Battle Los Angeles.
We now know that meteors will land off the coast. Evacuations are now underway. It appears that there's some shadowy figures. Lucas, if you could just come back, please. When you invade a place for its resources, you wipe out the indigenous population. Right now, we are being colonized.
Context of white supremacy. Like I said, sometimes they make films that are speaking specifically about racism, white supremacy. They're talking directly about, so-called colonization, white supremacy. They do that, frequently. And these types of movies where you have this apocalyptic future, they make these all the time. I think it's dripping that air of white genetic annihilation. Some invading non-white group that is coming to cause white people problems, and they have been making these films for a long time. Mad Max with Mel Gibson, that's 30 years ago. Demolition Man, Sylvester Stallone, Sandra Bullock of The Blind Side, Wesley Snipes, who's now incarcerated in greater confinement, I believe. Demolition Man, that's from the 90s, where Wesley Snipes is coming back and terrorizing white people in the future. The Matrix, Terminator. They have tons of these films that are set. Even Predator 2 is pretty similar, where there's some sort of invasion of non-white people that are causing white people a problem. They just keep making these films, that anxiety of white genetic annihilation. You heard at the beginning, shadowy figures, the racialized language, some dark, non-white, menacing presence. I don't know when this film is coming out. A lot of these films that they were promoting, they're not coming out for another 6 months. White people have long-term agendas. I noted that a lot of these films, they just have the little snippet yesterday, and that's about it. So they don't have a whole lot of information about the films. But Battle Los Angeles, it's on Internet Movie Database. It'll actually be out in March 11th. It'll be out. Looking at the film now just to see if I recognize any of the folks who will be in it. Neo is supposed to be in this. Very interesting. I do recognize a few of these names. Very interesting. Estimated budget for this film, $100 million. $100 million. That's why I spend time discussing these films and what's going on. But that's Battle for Los Angeles. I'll move on to the next film. The next one, I believe this commercial was mentioned on the program yesterday during the Super Bowl. The caller, I believe, Mr. Actually, won't say the name because I might get it wrong, but I believe it was a male. He was watching the game and he saw this commercial during the program for career builders. This is for a website. They had a white man in his vehicle. He was pulling into his parking place, and some monkeys drove up next to him, and they blocked him in, and they hit his car and blocked him in so he couldn't get out. And I said this on the program yesterday, Planet of the Apes. I mean, anytime I see that's old news. I'm almost embarrassed that white people are still doing that. And they had more than one monkey reference in the Super Bowl commercial, so keep that in mind. But yeah, that's old hat. I don't even. I just got that already. Seen that. Been there, done that. Planet of the Apes, and I mean anybody who scoffs at that. They just had President Obama as the monkey who got shot. Remember that from 2009, beginning of the year, the white woman in Boston who had the pet monkey, and they made a parody of it in the cartoon. And they also referenced and have consistently referenced Michelle Obama and his entire family as monkeys and all these other things. So that's old hat. The next one, another movie. This is Cowboys and Aliens, starring Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Another film, the glory of racism, white supremacists, to get the archaeologists, the anthropologists. I mean, this is foundation of racism, white supremacy, to go out and steal things from other non-white people and to get non-white people to help in the process and to show them as savages and cannibals. So they got Harrison Ford in this movie. And I mean, this is racism, white supremacy. Like I said, sometimes they're just explicitly talking about racism, white supremacy. First we had Battle Los Angeles, and now we just got it, real, just being real upfront about it. Cowboys and not Indians, aliens, non-white people. I bet this is Dr. Kevorkian to a T, exactly what he said. This is his whole book, Color Monitors, The Black Face of Technology in America. Non-white people are not humans. So anytime you see white people in films and they are interacting or in conflict with machines, robots, animals, non-people, you should be thinking, are they talking about non-white people? Because 10 times out of 9, they are. I'll say that again because I didn't make a mistake. 10 times out of 9, they're talking about non-white people. And I think that's exactly what's happening in Cowboys and Aliens. It reminds me of that film from South Africa where they got the aliens and the people, and the aliens have that technology. I think we discussed it with Dr. Martin Kevorkian. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but that's what this reminds me of, just looking at the previews. Next on my list, this also was discussed on the program yesterday, the Chrysler commercial with Eminem. Very interesting. Again, this was discussed yesterday, and I think it was brought up. The example was frequently in the refinement stage of racism, white supremacy, non-white people are so confused. Racism, white supremacy is being practiced in front of us. We're the only ones who are ignorant about it. Now, I said on the program yesterday that I have talked to white people, and they have admitted it's been a group of white people, one black person. Everybody in the room knew the black person was being mistreated except the black person. I started finding a lot of examples of that, even when I was the black person who was not aware that I was being mistreated. That's how bad racism, white supremacy is. Person who called during yesterday's broadcast, they said, I believe it was non-Mighty Wick, they have seen situations where it's been all black people, non-white people, and one white person. And it was the exact same thing, except now it was the non-white people are being mistreated, and the only person who was aware is the one white person. That's what I thought of when I saw the Eminem Chrysler commercial yesterday, and the thing that stood out, that commercial was 2 minutes. Now, they said, at least the information that I saw, 30-second Super Bowl commercials were going for $3 million. So I would think that to do a 2-minute commercial, unless my math is off, would be $12 million. $12 million. I'm just, I'm guessing, that seems logical to me. A 2-minute commercial for Chrysler cars. And I'm looking at this and thinking, man, white people have got to use buckets and buckets of words to deceive you. Now, you're doing all this to sell me on this car and on the city of Detroit. I thought it was dual. You talk about ideas. This idea of Detroit and being a tough city, and people talk bad about our city, and you haven't been here, and we're rough. We're America. We're tough, and we know about great cars. We know about luxury cars. And you just don't know about us. This is what we do. That's how Eminem ends it. And I just thought, man, I know about Detroit. That place is whack. I would never go there. It's in ruin. Anybody out there, you want to know something more about Detroit? Get Michael Moore's first documentary, Roger and Me. Check that out and see how grand Detroit is. At any rate, the symbolism, I think this was mentioned on the program yesterday. They got the black choir with the black and red robes on, and it was a very intense red. It seemed ritualistic. And then to have this white man enter the arena, it was like Jesus like Jesus has entered the building. It was really disgusting. As sacred as black people, as we talk about, religion means so much to us and we're so spiritual, there's just no way a group of black people should be in choir robes to serenade any white person under the system of white supremacy. I mean, you talk about confusion. And they're victims. I'm not, talking bad about them. If, it could have been me easily if I were more confused about racism, white supremacy. Also, and they were pulling on the image as Eminem is driving in this black car through the city of Detroit. They pull on the imagery of Detroit. They had the fist of Joe Louis in there, who was a huge victim of racism, white supremacy. But they had his fist, and they're pulling on that imagery. They also had some images of a black person. I think he was like a porter or bellhop or something at a hotel. They had one of those images in there. This is very interesting. This black messiah rolling through the city of Detroit, the ghetto, if you will, and then to come and end on stage being serenaded by a Negro gospel ensemble. This is what we do. Racism, white supremacy, by the king of rap music. Yeah, it was, man. and I even thought about his career, like, wow, with some of the lyrics that he's infamous for, that's kind of wild that he can get, this kind of lucrative 2-minute, what I suspect to be a $12 million commercial for this white, racist, suspected racist Eminem. And Eminem had more than one commercial during the Super Bowl. The other commercial I did capture. I didn't make a sound clip of the Chrysler commercial because I figured it seemed to be a popular commercial from yesterday, so I didn't play it. But I have the commercial for Eminem, the commercial he did for Lipton Brisk Tea. I'll play that one because it was also very interesting. I'll play that one and then offer my thoughts on this one as well.
I get asked to do commercials all the time, and I always say the same thing. First, I need some hot chicks. Second, we film at my house, so I ain't got to go anywhere. Third, I record my own song. Yo, bring it. Cool, refreshing, nice tea, drink it. And once I try their products, I always hate them, so I bounce. Damn, that is pretty good. But I got one final demand.
No, we can't change the name to Eminem. Shut up and drink it.
See? That's why I don't do commercials.
Context of white supremacy. Violence on top of violence. To watch a game filled with violence And then this commercial ends. Mr. Eminem throws a gentleman off the top of a building. Now, this is animated, so it's not real people, but I mean, still, he throws a gentleman off the top of a building. The commercial begins. They've got some obese black male character, and he bops this gentleman on the head and throws him in the back of the trunk. So you got this thuggish black male at the beginning of the commercial. It's interesting when he says he needs hot chicks to do a commercial. They show a lot of very light complexion females. When he goes outside and a waitress brings him a beverage, it's a black female, which was a consistent theme that I observed yesterday, was that they had black people inserted in films in subservient roles, not films, commercials, in subservient roles, waiters, waitresses, bellhops, this sort of thing. They had a lot of that, and I really try to pay attention to that because they had a significant number of commercials. They didn't really have any black people or non-white people. And then they had others where it was mostly white people, but they had a non-white person here or there as a waitress or butler or something. I also thought it was interesting in this Lipton commercial, Eminem, when this black female brings him his beverage, or she brings him some sort of concoction, and she throws it on him, and he grows an afro. And I just thought that was quite interesting, almost blackface. And then he goes and he takes a drink of tea, and the afro disappears, and he looks like himself again. And then he goes to throw the gentleman off the top of the building. But I just thought, again, racism, white supremacy, that you can have this white person come in and be the quote-unquote king of what is called hip-hop music, and then they can come and do these commercials and have black people sing to them, and it was very interesting. It was very interesting, and it seemed like white people really wanted to invest a lot of time and energy to making sure Eminem's career continues in a prosperous manner. Let's see, the next commercial I have on the list, Doritos. They too were discussed yesterday. I think that was one of the commercials people caught. You can actually see one of the Doritos commercials in the description for this program. You can see the one where the black male gets his finger sucked by the white man after he's eating this bag of Doritos. You can see that commercial. As I said, the homoerotic material that was in these commercials, it was all over the place. I mean, you got this white man at the end of the commercial. He rips another white man's slacks off and is basically sniffing the crotch and groin area. I mean, it was pretty out of control. But the thing that I want to get before I slide to the next one, Doritos has an interesting trend with regards to how they portray black people in their commercials. If there's one product that really stands out that even if you're confused, you should be looking at kind of like, wait a minute, I don't think that's cool. It should be Doritos. They didn't just have this commercial with all the anti-sexual behavior. And I also want you to take a note, the good white people, that was a joke. The good white people at Hulu, they allow you to pick the preview shot for the video, and I picked this shot specifically because not only does it convey the homoerotic nature of this commercial, white people are so slick. The way that they shot the commercial, the black male and the white man, they both have wedding rings on. So if, you say, well, hey, you're promoting homosexual behavior. They say, oh, no. See, they're both married. See, they're married. They got their wedding bands on. They're not married to each other. This is just a little fun with Doritos. See, that's what they can say. But no, no, that's, we move that on. And white people are steadily pushing this gay marriage thing and saying that it's okay. So maybe they are married to each other. Who knows? At any rate, with regards to the portrayal of black males, number one, I would not want to be in any commercial where I have to be emasculated. I mean, that should just be on the top of our list. The McDonald's commercial where the black male has got a bib on and a baby bottle. The Coca-Cola commercial where the black male is in a dress. This stuff should just, no. Ladder.com, the commercial where you got the black male on the floor and a white man is gyrating on top of him with his shirt open. I mean, this stuff, absolutely not. We're not doing it. I don't care how much money it is, how many films. We're just not doing it. This stuff has a detrimental impact. And in fact, Tater Pot, she just posted on Facebook, when images degrading black people are shown, it encourages people to be racist. It supports the notion that these are people who should be mistreated, and it's okay. This is what should be done. It's like an approval. When you see commercials like this, it's like giving the sign of approval, 2 thumbs up. Practicing white supremacy and mistreating black people is A-okay. That's what should be done. But Doritos, they had another commercial that aired yesterday, and I didn't record this one just because I didn't think the audio would translate. It's a lot of visual imagery, visual messaging that's going on. But this other commercial, they have a black male, and he's eating Doritos. He's sitting on a couch in a very messy apartment. He's supposed to house sit for this white man. The white guy leaves, just asks this black male to feed his fish and just, keep the place up. A week goes by, and the black male hasn't moved. He's basically sat on the couch for a whole week eating Doritos. Lazy, shiftless, good-for-nothing black males. Got it. So he gets up in a panic because he's like, oh, my gosh, the man is going to come home and find that I haven't done anything. I've just been, a shiftless Negro. And so he starts trying to clean up, and he basically just sprinkles Doritos on everything, and that fixes it. He sprinkles Doritos on the fish, and that it resurrects the fish. He's not dead anymore. The fish is back to life. Everything that he breaks and messes up, he just sprinkles Doritos on it, and it fixes the problem. And I just thought this is, fascinating. The ending of the commercial is interesting on another level, but just the constant imaging of lazy, good-for-nothing, stupid black males. I think they had that all over the Super Bowl. I saw the image scroll by where they had a black male wrestler who had a perm, straightened hair, and he's a wrestler. I mean, let's just make him as stupid looking as we possibly can. And he gets hit on the back of the head by a chair. So not only do we make him look stupid, but we get to abuse him as well. I saw a ton of that. And again, we should be, 1,000% against that. And in fact, I would say black people, it should just be, hey, we don't buy Frito-Lay. I'm not saying that you're going to be able to find a product that does not support racism, white supremacy, but I mean, when they make it real blatant, we should just be like, hey, we don't get down like that. Frito-Lay, nah, I'm good. A lot of white people make potato chips. You can find another brand. But I mean, Frito-Lay, because they have a pattern of this behavior. It's not just this year that they had these 2 ads. Even when I wasn't investigating Super Bowl commercials, I remember the commercial from a few years back that Doritos did during the Super Bowl where they had a black male. He was attempting to go date a black female, and she has her child. Her male child is there, and he sees this black male looking at his mom all sexual, and the black male smacks the child. The black child smacks the black male in the face and tells him, don't be messing with my mom. And I just thought, man, this is not cool at all. I mean, this is just black people are total clowns and buffoons and sex objects, and we're just here for laughs. This is a pattern in Doritos commercials, and Doritos, they're owned by Frito-Lay. Is the company Frito-Lay. They make Doritos and a lot of other potato chips. And actually, I didn't know this until I started digging from watching the Super Bowl commercials. Frito-Lay is owned by Pepsi. Pepsi is the parent company for Frito-Lay, which is real interesting because Pepsi had some very interesting commercials as well yesterday. So we'll look at some of those Pepsi commercials. And keep in mind, that's the same group. Pepsi, Frito-Lay, Doritos, same group. We should racism, white supremacy. White people are the group. Keep that in mind. So it shouldn't be a shock. The next commercial, This was real important. Real important. Okay. GoDaddy.com. They had several commercials yesterday. Now, probably back when I was more confused about racism, white supremacy, if anything jumped out at me about the incorrectness of this commercial, it would have just been they are pushing the white standard of beauty. They've got these white women with not very many clothes on, that this is just about reinforcing the white woman, the blonde white woman, long straight hair, frail, weighing 99 pounds, dripping wet. This is the standard of beauty, right? Being more focused on racism, white supremacy, and because I pay attention to the news, when I see Joan Rivers in this commercial, whoa. And Joan Rivers, white woman, she was in one of the GoDaddy commercials. She was not in both of them, but there was one GoDaddy.com commercial where they said, we've got the newest GoDaddy.com girl and, blah, 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 all this sex. She's hot, she's sexy, and then they go and show her, and it's Joan Rivers, who's significantly older than the standard sex symbol. I don't know how old she is, but she's way old. She's too old to be a sex symbol. But all of that just gets kicked to the curb. What I'm thinking when I see Joan Rivers is, whoa, Joan Rivers just called Michelle Obama Blackie O. I don't know if people caught that. I think that was posted on one of the Facebook groups, but that was big news, and that was recent. That was like this past week. This just went down, and I wanted to read an article for folks who missed out. The article I'm reading, this is at Women's E-News, womensenews.org. Forgive me, womensenews.org, and the article is titled "Joan Rivers' Blackie O comment is an insult to all black women and mothers." I would just say it's an insult to all black people. I have a mom who is black. It is an insult to all black people. Remember what Pam said, an insult to one of us is an insult to us all. And I was insulted. I was really saddened and quite frankly upset to hear Joan Rivers share recently on national radio that her pet name for the First Lady is Blackie O. Now, I often find Miss Rivers hilarious as she pans celebrities on the red carpet and when trying to move her face despite way too many plastic surgeries. But this one just was fun. Why not Chelly O or Mrs. O, since her last name already starts with the letter? But to take it to race was just unnecessary and highlights a few key points that have been bothering me of late. For one, there is an unsettling undercurrent of disrespect towards our first family that always comes back to race that has never been experienced before. For 8 years, we had a president who couldn't find his way to a coherent sentence with a flashlight and a map, but the insults never equated his stupidity with race. I would have preferred if Miss Rivers talked about Mrs. Obama's outfits. And for the uninformed, the word blackie has an extreme negative and racist connotation. It was used to denigrate, dehumanize, and liken people of African descent to monkeys. Monkeys, blackies. Get it? Still not funny, right? I didn't think so either. I'm happy to chalk it up to Joan's ignorance. Oh, I don't think Joan Rivers is ignorant. I don't think any white person, when they make these kind of statements, are ignorant. I think that they are most likely racist. I can only imagine what all that pulling and tugging has done to her brain capacity. I think it continues a pervasive negative tone of disrespect for African Americans and specifically black women. Here we have a Princeton University and Harvard Law School educated woman who has worked at top law firms, selflessly served her community, a committed mother, and is serving as First Lady of the most powerful country in the world, with more grace, poise, and dare I say, fashion flair the White House has seen in decades. And even she gets thrown racial epithets. What hope is there for me and my daughter and the millions of the other black mothers raising their daughters and sons to be their best and serve their communities? Is that what we can expect, that even in the face of extraordinary accomplishments to still be viewed as blackies? This is not a laughing matter. In fact, it gives me goosebumps, and not the good ones. It's just another example of the kind of stresses black mothers face. And it upsets me when Michelle Obama's mother is feeling it, even as she sleeps in the White House. Oh, and memo to Joan Rivers. I know you are trying to keep your career afloat. Sign new reality show deals and hold on to your relevance and youth. But America is trying to move past its racist history. I do not agree with that. Actually, I wouldn't even, never mind. We have much at stake in addressing this type of thinking and the many ways it plays out in our health and in our lives. And by referencing it and then acting surprised that African Americans would be offended by it, you are showing yourself to be the one thing you strive so hard not to be. If she had said racist, it would have been perfect, but she did not. She said old. I don't think that's the case. I think, at any rate. Again, this report is at womensenews.org. It was written by Kimberly Seals Allers, Allers, and this is a black female who authored this piece. Again, it is Joan Rivers' Blackie O comment is an insult to all black women and mothers. I highly suspect that many people didn't know about this because this, I don't think this comment got very much national attention. I was looking for different news stories, and, there were some black people blogged about it and such, but there wasn't a lot of, mainstream USA Today, New York Times. They didn't give a lot of coverage to this, I don't think. And this just happened. So, all right, going back to the commercials, that's what I had in mind when I saw the GoDaddy.com commercial. And there was a lot of that, putting people in these commercials, promoting these different products, who have done and said these things, blatantly racist things, similar to this Blackie O. Before I go to the next commercial that I felt was another example of them slipping in people who have done racist things, said racist things, I just want to make sure we all jog our memory to remember who Michael Richardson is. Just want to make sure that we didn't forget, or if they're listening in, I know we got people who are not in the state, so they maybe don't even know who Michael Richardson is. This is Michael Richardson.
We're going to have you upside down with a fucking fork up your ass. You can talk your brain down, motherfucker. Roll that stuff. He's a nigger. He's a nigger. He's a nigger.
Oh my God.
A nigger, look at the nigger. Ooh. All right, you see? It shocks you. You see what's buried beneath your stupid motherfucker. What was it called for? It's not called for you to hear off my ass, you cheap motherfucker! You guys have been talking and talking and talking. I don't know.
You guys are going
What's the matter? Is it too much for your handle? They're coming. They're gonna arrest me. Call me back, man. Come here. Wait a minute, where's he going? Crocodile? You calling me crocodile? What you got for? I'm a fan. Oh, you threatening me?
We'll see what's up.
Oh, it's a big threat. That's how you get back at the man.
That was real talk for it.
Wait a minute, he's not going, is he?
You're not funny. That's why you reset. Never had no show, never had no movie. Seinfeld, that's it.
Oh, I guess you got me there. You're absolutely right. I'm just a wash-up. Got to stand on the stage. Absolutely, that's it. We had it. We had it. Well, you know, that's
That's not fucking call for it. Oh, no, that ain't necessary.
well, you interrupted me, pal. That's what happens when you interrupt the right man. You want to jump it out.
Call for it. Call for it. That was uncalled for.
You see, there's still those words. Those words, those words.
Context of white supremacy. The audio quality wasn't as good as I would have liked, but I think somebody just recorded that on their cell phone, so you don't have like studio quality audio on that because of the way it was recorded. But I hope you at least heard the important word. I think that came through. He said it repeatedly, so I hope, you know, we're all on the same page. Michael Richardson, he was in the program Friends. I didn't watch Friends, but I know white people loved that program. I didn't, you know, by the time this incident happened, I was starting to become less confused about white supremacy, and I always thought, I wonder if any of his racism, white supremacy, or I wonder if that racism, white supremacy comes through in the program, Friends, which I, you know, of course I'd be willing to bet all the money in the world that I'm sure it does. Maybe I should, you know, watch some episodes of Friends to share my thoughts on that down the road. But yeah, I thought that was important, you know, reading the paper and being informed about racism, white supremacy, very important. It'll change how you view these commercials. They slipped Michael Richardson in twice yesterday. I got both of those images. They're in if you're listening at Blog Talk Radio, you can see the images from the commercial. The NFL, National Football League, they did their own commercial during the Super Bowl just to promote, you know, football and how important it is. And what they did, they showed a montage of television programs where on the program, the characters are talking about the Super Bowl. So they go back and they show you Friends, as I just said, with Michael Richardson. They show 2 clips from Friends, which is interesting. They don't show 2 clips from every show. They show 2 clips from Friends. Michael Richardson is in both clips that they show. I thought that was extremely interesting. I heard about, you know, this incident with Michael Richardson. I didn't even check the newspaper at the time when that happened on a regular basis. And I knew that. I'm sure most people remember, or a lot of people remember, oh, yeah, Michael Richardson, he had that big rant and, you know, calling that black person a nigger. I'm quite certain the white people who pay $3 million for a 30-second Super Bowl commercial, I'm quite certain somebody along the way said, hey, Michael Richardson, didn't he have that rant? Are you sure we want to go, you know, putting him in? It might upset black people. They might think, you know, we're endorsing or condoning his behavior. People remember that. People are really upset about that. I'm sure somebody looked at that and remembered that. He wasn't in 1 clip. He was in 2 clips, Michael Richardson. So this is in my mind when I'm seeing Joan Rivers and Michael Richardson flash up on the screen. Even Eminem, there was some controversy with him called using the word nigger a while back, and some saying, well, oh, you know, he's a rapper, it's okay, and that sort of thing. But that's what's in my mind when I'm looking at these different commercials. Even there was a Jack in the Box commercial where the white character for Jack in the Box, he dressed up like Abraham Lincoln. And I was just like, man, here we go again. We're using people who have done, said explicitly racist things to promote products. In my opinion, you are promoting both the product and racism, white supremacy. It's one and the same. It's one and the same. Just using white supremacy to sell a product. I feel like that was done often yesterday. It's done on a regular basis. And Mr. Josh Wickett, he predicted this. He said you will see more of it to come. With that NFL commercial, really interesting. They go back and they show they had like the Brady Bunch and Happy Days, as I said, Friends, the Simpsons, Family. They had just a bunch of different television programs where people were talking about the Super Bowl and football. And I just thought, wow, this is really important to white people. It's really, critical that you watch this game. You got to watch this game. They got millions of dollars of advertising on this. You got to watch this game. You got to watch this game. Non-white people, maybe that's something we should do. Hey, we're gonna let go of this sports thing. That was one question I wish I had asked Anthony Pryor. Does he think that would be constructive if black people said, we're not going to participate in any more athletics until racism, white supremacy has been defeated. We're just not going to do it. We're not going to participate in the NBA, the NFL, these handful of black athletes who get to this level and who you decide to give a few coins. This is not, helping most black people. This money is not trickling back to us. Let's do it. I would have liked to have asked Mr. Pryor if he thought that would be constructive, and I don't know if that's something he would think about. But just watching this NFL commercial, it just really hammered home the importance that white people need you to invest your time and energy in this. And the racism was just glaring. Even if Michael Richardson hadn't been there, there was enough other stuff. Like they had one of the television programs that they showed was the Dukes of Hazzard. And I don't know if people remember that show. It used to come on, I believe, in the 80s, maybe the 70s. It used to come on a while ago, but it was very popular. It was set in the South. It was two white men, and they rode around really fast in a car, and they had a white sheriff in a hat. He looked like a slave master. And they had an orange car, and it had the Confederate flag on the top of the hood of the car was the Confederate flag. Dukes of Hazzard. It's on Hulu. I think you can watch an episode or two. But I mean, you talk about racism, supremacy, Dukes of Hazzard. But they had a clip from the Dukes of Hazzard in there. They had a clip of Urkel from Family Matters, black male. They had a clip of him, and then it went to Alf, which is another television program from the 80s. Alf is like this alien creature who lives with this white family, non-white creature. And the way that they spliced this series of television clips was that it went from Urkel to Alf. And I just thought, oh, that's real slick. It's similar to the commercial that the advertisement, the picture that I have up from the program last week where they had the black male as this sex object, a sex toy, and they had the black male next to a dildo. And then same advertisement, same company, right above that they had a picture of Chewbacca from Star Wars. Same sort of thing, this contrast programming associating black people with creatures, monkeys, aliens, that sort of thing. Also in the Super Bowl commercial, they had a shot from Family Guy, and they had a non-white person, or what I think, a non-black, non-white person, so-called Latina. And she was talking about being American and how much she loved this country. And they had her in a Redskins jersey. And I just thought, wow, that is quote unquote assimilation. To be accepted, to be welcomed onto the white team, to be quote unquote American is to be racist, white supremacist. That's what it means. And I thought it was just fascinating. It was fascinating. That NFL commercial, I would encourage folks to check it out. It was one of the more interesting ones that I saw, and the depth of it, because they were showing television programs that go back, 40, 50 years. So you're getting 40, 50 years worth of racist, white supremacist code and imagery. Also, Family Matters, I thought that's at least one show where you do have a black father, a whole black family. But any time that you see black fathers, it tends to be a lot of buffoonery. Whether it's the Cosby Show, whether it's the Jeffersons, whether it's Good Times, whether it's Sanford and Son, Family Matters. If you're seeing black father figures on a television program, they tend to be buffoons. I think, Steve Harvey show would qualify. Bernie Mac's show, I think, would qualify. I can't even think of a program where you have black parents, a black father specifically, and you see that person behaving in a serious manner. I can't even think of an example. Moving on to the next commercial. Let's see, got the Doritos. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. LivingSocial.com. This was a website that was being advertised. Real interesting commercial. They got a white guy at the beginning. He's gruff. He's got a thick beard. He's talking, and he uses this website, LivingSocial.com. It improves his quality of life, and he goes from being this burly, brutish white man to wearing a dress. Really incredible. They show him before he gets to the dress. They show him at a shopping mall of some sort, and he's looking at a pair of red pumps, and then he gets this red dress, and it's incredible. I didn't audio clip this commercial because it's a visual. It's something that you got to see. But there are two pictures from this commercial in the description. One of them will show you this white man at the bar. He's in his dress. He's got his wig on. The other, you don't really see the white man. He's just kind of walking by. But what you do see is him. Directly behind him is a black male sitting at the bar with a drink in his hand. Real interesting. Just gotta throw that image of the black male in there anytime we get around some sexual deviance, homosexual behavior, emasculating. Put him at the bar. He can't be at the bar with a date. He's by himself. He can't be at the bar with a date, or can't have a female coming to meet him. He's at the bar, and this white man in a dress is who's coming to sit next to him at the bar. Real white people are on their job. Next commercial. Pepsi. That's why I said, you should not this. Pepsi, Doritos. You should keep those in mind because it's the same company. So the Pepsi commercial and Dr. Welsing moment. You got those dark liquids. White people and their conflict and control desire for these dark liquids. That's straight from the ISIS papers. I actually have the commercial for this one, so I'll play this commercial and then share my thoughts on it.
I wonder how much money he makes. I wonder if he loves his mother. I wonder if he'll lose his hair. I wonder if he wants kids. I wonder if he's the one.
I want to sleep with her. 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 I want her Pepsi Max. I want her Pepsi Max. I want her Pepsi Max.
Not a chance.
Damn. Wait, for which one?
Pepsi Max. 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste.
Okay, so you just heard the commercial for the Pepsi commercial, and I actually think that fits right with the first and second greatest motivators system of white supremacy. You start out, it's sex. You hear for the white man, sex, 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 sex. That's all he's concerned about. The dark beverage arrives. Now his attention switches to possession, control of the darkness. Very interesting. I also thought, I've long said, in my opinion, white women, they are the brains of the system of white supremacy. Even if the system looks like it's patriarchy, and I totally agree, white women and white men have tons of conflict. White men abuse white women all the time. Yes, agreed, no argument here. However, in a system dominated by deception, white women are the champion deceivers. World champs, undefeated. Do not underestimate or leave out that white woman. Those white queens are dangerous. And when I say white queens, I just want to get you thinking in terms of the chessboard. That queen piece is dangerous on the chessboard. We're talking chess. We're talking racism, white supremacy. That commercial, that white woman, she is business. She's not talking about sex. How much money does he have? I wonder, does he love his mom? She's thinking long range down the road, like sustaining an empire type thinking. Also, when the dark beverage arrives, her attention shifts as well. Like when she says, when she rejects him, right? I didn't think she was talking sexually. I thought she meant my Pepsi. You can't have my darkness. You can't have my nigger. That's what I was thinking. That, you know, and he's, you know, that's the punchline in the commercial ending. He's confused about, you know, is she rejecting me sexually, or is she saying that I can't have the darkness? Real interesting. Like I said, that's direct from Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Pepsi, they had another interesting commercial as well. You should think about that. Same company, Pepsi, they got this commercial with the white people fighting over their Negro Cola. Doritos, they got a lazy black male who doesn't do anything but sit on the sofa and eat Doritos. They got black male being in homoerotic behavior, having a white man lick his fingers. And then Pepsi, same company. Then you got Pepsi with the commercial that was talked about yesterday. I didn't do an audio clip of this because I thought this was another one that was very visual. But you got a black male and a black female, black male and female in conflict. Apparently they got diet problems. As Dr. Africa touched on yesterday, you know, the nutritional warfare that is waged against black people, non-white people. And they're trying to lose weight. And so the black male goes to order something incorrect that's not on his diet. And the black female, she kicks him. Then he's going to go eat a pie, and she dunks his face down in the pie. Then he's in the bathroom, he's eating a sandwich, and she snatches it and puts soap in his mouth. And then they're out at the park, and he goes to drink his Pepsi, and it doesn't have any calories. So his black female partner, she grabs one too. So he says, oh, okay, you know, great. Life is great. No conflict. Woohoo. And as soon as you finally have a moment where there's not going to be any conflict between a black male and a black female, they insert a scantily clad white woman who's out running, I think playing on that stereotype that white women work out, black females, they don't work out. They're trying to lose weight. I mean, I don't even think it's subtle. That's what they're playing on. But the white woman sits down. She smiles at the black man. Danger, that white queen on the move. She's down. The black male doesn't seem to be suspicious. He's smiling at her. Ooh, white woman, yum, yum. The black female gets angry, throws a can. The black male ducks, hits the white woman. She falls on the ground. They scatter off. Real interesting commercial. Just black people as total buffoons, overweight. That was another consistent theme that I saw in a lot of the commercials, that I see in commercials and television, period, portraying black people as obese. White people are in shape. She's out jogging. She's fit. But, yeah, just black people in conflict and just total buffoons. We're just the comic relief for the planet, the monkeys, if you will, just total monkeys. And she had straightened hair. I think all of the black females that I saw in the commercials, they had straightened hair yesterday, the ones that I saw anyway. Last commercial. This one would not have stood out to me if I had not been focused on racism, white supremacy. Adrian Brody, he did a commercial for an alcoholic beverage, a beer, and he's playing a lounge singer. He's singing to a room full of white women, and they have black males in the role as Sam from Casablanca. They got the black males in the band in the background, in the way background, playing musical instruments. And the commercial, not only did it remind me, Adrian Brody, same guy who sexually molested Halle Berry on stage, Adrian Brody is in Splice, the film that we just talked about, where they, create this creature in a lab and then sexually molested and castrated and all this other stuff. But it just reminded me, oh, this is Adrian Brody, same guy. Who had a 30-second, $3 million commercial for the Super Bowl. These are the folks that are being paraded in front of us all the time. If you go out and sexually molest a black female on stage, hey, that's a great thing. Your career is taking off. You're going places. Let's see. I want to look at the images to make sure I touched all of the commercials that I put images in for, and then I want to play the last few sound clips that I have for some of the other commercials, and then I will hit the phone lines to see what you all have to say. In terms of images, some of the images that I included, I think I've discussed all of them except a few. Hack job. Okay. I have a sound clip for that commercial, so I can play that and then I can talk about it. Hack job is the image. It's a white man, and he's standing next to a black male and female couple. This is a commercial for Bud Light beer, and it's a parody on some of these shows where they do home remodeling. But it's titled Hack Job. That in and of itself I thought very interesting, but this is the commercial for Bud Light Hack Job.
Welcome back to Hack Job. Today we're with the Gilberts. Okay, guys, are you ready to see your new kitchen? Let's go. Take a look. Oh, here we go. It looks amazing.
You didn't do anything. You just put Bud Light on the counter.
Exactly. It totally opens it up. We gave it a fun vibe. Clearly, this is a room people want to hang out in.
It's a sure sign of a good time. Just right taste of Bud Light. Here we go.
Oh, the landscapers are here. Nice.
Context of white supremacy. Alcohol, that's another one. If non-white people, I think we should also consider, hey, I think it would be constructive if we abstained from alcohol. That could save us a lot of money. I think a lot of non-white people, I think there's a correlation between a lot of non-white people when they get in trouble with enforcement officers and when they consume alcoholic beverages. And white people invest a lot of money in getting us to consume their liquors. I think we should really think about that. But yeah, this commercial, not only encouraging you to drink, and binge drink lots. Just, again, totally showing black people as clowns and buffoons. Anytime black people are on the screen, you know nothing serious is happening. This is just going to be, you know, good for some laughs. The interesting thing I thought in this commercial, they don't remodel their house, right? They tell them they're going to fix the house up, and they don't do anything. They give them, you know, a six-pack of Bud Light. And the black male, he's ecstatic. He's running to the kitchen to get a drink. And the black female, she's asking questions like, wait a minute, you didn't really do anything. And the white man, you know, is holding it like, oh, but it does this. He's using words. Oh, it's great. It's fine. And you know, they acquiesce, of course. But I thought it was interesting. The black male, he's not there with his partner any longer. He's over drinking and doing whatever else. The white man, even though the black male and the black female are supposed to be a married couple, the commercial, they get split apart. It ends up being the black female with the white man, the black male with a bottle of beer. Racism, white supremacy. Let's see, next. Okay, I'm looking at the images. They had a commercial for a phone service, and they had Ozzy Osbourne, or I think more than one of the Osbournes in the commercial. And I just looked at that, and I said, wow, this guy, they got a white man with makeup on and long hair, and I mean, this guy looks crazy. He's known for being crazy. They just grab anybody to push and sell you a product. I just looked at it and thought, wow, this is bananas. Like that, non-white people are confused, and I was even thinking myself, you know, I used to be confused, and I would watch this and wouldn't think anything of it, and would go out and get a product that a white man wearing makeup with long hair, you know, is advertising. I'm like, yeah, I should have this too. It's crazy. It's total insanity. Let me see. I'm looking at, oh yeah, the Sealy Posturepedic. Man, got to get that one. Big time sexual confusion. They weren't just pushing the incorrect anti-sexual behavior. They were pushing a lot of bedroom integration during the Super Bowl commercials, and front and center, Sealy Posturepedic. They make mattresses. They had a bed where and a lot of sex. The idea of sex was big time pushed in tons of commercials. I mean, that shouldn't, you know, be a surprise to anyone. But they got this commercial, and it's showing a male and a female in bed. They have a black couple. They have lots of white couples, and then they have one with a white man and a non-white female. And then they have another one with a white man and the racially ambiguous female. I don't know what, and really, people looking at these photos might say that both of the females are racially ambiguous. I think one of them, to me, I'm pretty confident that she's not white, but the other female, very ambiguous. I don't know, causing that confusion, which I expected. I expected there to be some element of the racial confusion in the commercials. And talk about bedroom integration. They got a brand new movie, Limitless, which is white people going in the lab and making some sort of drug to be able to utilize your mind to its maximum capabilities. And one of the scenes, they got a white man dancing all close on a black female in a sexual manner. Robert De Niro is in this film, and some other heavyweight actors. I'm going to try and check this film out to see more about it as we roll, but I thought that was very interesting, and there's a photo of the white man with the black female in the description for this program. Let's see, I'm just making sure I covered all the images. Cowboys and Aliens, got that one. And with the Cowboys and Aliens, the way they wrote it, if you substitute white for cowboys and non-white for alien, white over non-white, which is exactly the way I say it is. Let's see. Yep, Dukes of Hazzard. Just saw them roll by. Black male. Okay, they had a different commercial, also advertising a website where they are talking about the importance of sometimes having someone go first. And I thought this was a really interesting commercial because not only did it promote a lot of the standard Greek mythology and white fairy tales that Dr. Africa spoke about yesterday, they also had a scene of cowboys and Indians where these white men are out fighting against Indians. The Indians are shooting their arrows and stuff. And I mean, it's 2011. We are still white people are still rejoicing and celebrating, looking back with nostalgia on exterminating so-called Native Americans. That's what we got. That was in this, and I think there was more than one instance. You got a whole movie, Cowboys and Indians. More than one instance of this kind of reverence for the slaughter of the so-called red man woman. Real interesting. Like I said, standard racist code was on display during the Super Bowl yesterday with the commercials. Let's see. I'm looking at some of the other commercials before I go to the phone line. Pirates of the Caribbean, I guess they got another sequel. This is a Disney project, I believe. In one of the scenes, they have the boat, and you can see the British flag flying on the back of the boat. And I mean, this is white people at their best, right? Cowboys and Indians, pirates, with slave traders. That's what you should think of when you think pirates. Slave traders going out and stealing things and or people. They've got the skull and crossbones, all about death and theft and mistreatment of other people, celebrating that. You know, they've made, I don't even know how many Pirates of the Caribbean movies that they've made at this point. Let's see. Scrolling through. Trying to think if I'm satisfied at this point with the commercials. Let's see. Snickers also, they had an interesting commercial. Lots of phallic symbols in that. No surprise there. Chocolate, no surprise there. Let's see. Pepsi, they had another commercial that I didn't talk about where it was pretty much all white people, and it still gets focused around the growing area. They hit another white male in the growing area with a can of Pepsi. So still focused around the genitals. I think Dr. Welsing touched on that. Anytime that you have this constant focus on the genital area, what is driving that? White genetic annihilation. Keep your eyes on the ball or balls. Let's see. I think I am good. Oh, wait a minute. I got to had Groupon. They had some interesting commercials yesterday. Groupon, and I got one of those. I got the one with Cuba Gooding Jr. Make sure we all keep in mind Cuba Gooding Jr. in addition to Jerry Maguire. He was also in Shadow Boxer, where he had a sexual relationship with his white stepmother, who killed his black father in front of him when he was 6. Cuba Gooding Jr., one of the stars of Lee Daniels' Shadow Boxer. We just talked about that, but he had a real interesting commercial on yesterday. I'm going to play his commercial for Groupon. Let's see. Oh no, I don't see that one. I might have forgot to load that one. If I did, I will take a second and load it once I get people on the phone line, because these are really quick, so it won't take very long. So I'll get it then. But he had a very interesting commercial. I won't discuss it because I know I have it on my hard drive. So I'll get it once I bring people on the phone lines. I don't have that one, but I do have the commercial for. This is a vehicle commercial. I'll play the commercial, and I won't even say anything. I'll just play the commercial, and you can judge for yourself if you think there's anything significant about this within the system of racism, white supremacy.
This is Cram It in the Boot, where we take the four-door all-wheel drive Mini Countryman and cram it in the boot. Josh, have you ever crammed it in the boot before? Cram it! Golf club, cram it in the boot. Cram that robot in. Yeah! Cram it in there. Whoa! We're running out of time. Cram it in, Josh.
The bigger all-new Mini Countryman with plenty of room to cram.
Yeah. They had a lot of interesting visual things going on in that commercial as well, but I think you can get it listening to it. If you need the imagery, it's basically them trying to see how much stuff this white guy can put in the trunk in the rear of this mini vehicle. And they have like a 7-foot long submarine sandwich, a lamp. They have a lot of interesting items that they are trying to cram in the rear of this vehicle. Very interesting. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. You know, you can come to your own conclusions if you think it's relevant. I want to just double check to make sure I didn't load this clip and fool myself.
Introduction to the eulogy for the young victim.
Okay, that's not it. Alrighty, I forgot to load the Cuba Gooding Jr. clip, but I will get it as we roll. Double checking to make sure I didn't miss any important commercials that I wanted to touch on. Bridgestone, that'll be the last one I touch on. Bridgestone is tire commercial yesterday, and they had one where a white guy had emailed another white guy, and the gentleman said, you know, you hit reply all, you sent this to everybody, and he has a fit, and he goes out and tries to stop it and, you know, breaks a whole lot of people's computers and things. And I was thinking of all of the times, or at least over the past year or so, that some white person has gotten in trouble for sending racist emails. I know there have been a few that went out regarding President Obama, the gentleman who lost the race for governor in New York. I think he got in trouble for getting caught sending a racist email. And that's what I was thinking, a white person sending out some sort of racist comment in an email or racist photograph. And, oh, dang, I sent it to everybody to get out. That's what I was thinking. I don't know what sort of material, because they didn't talk about what he sent, but that's what I was thinking. I sent something racist, and it's going to get out, and I'm going to get in trouble. Like I referenced Michelle Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, as Blackie O or something of that nature. At any rate, I'm good. I will upload that commercial for Cuba Gooding Jr. because I do think that one is important. And, I think I hit all of the main points that I wanted to pick up from yesterday. Yeah, I hit everything I wanted. I will hit the phone lines. If you have questions and or comments, just press 1, and I'll go to your phone line. I think I'll just put everybody on. I'm going to put everybody on at the same time, so if you want to comment, press 1, and I'll go to your line. And I would prefer to keep the conversation focused on racism, white supremacy, specifically with regards to the commercials from the Super Bowl, at least for right now. I might be willing to go elsewhere later, but I think there was just a lot. I'm sure I didn't pick up on everything, and I'm sure people out there listening saw some other interesting things in commercials, probably some commercials I didn't even touch on. So I would like to kind of stay on the commercials at first, and then if you would like to touch on something else, that's cool. So if you called in and you have a hand up, I'm going to go ahead and open your line up. If you can keep the background noise down, again, use the mute button. Use the mute button if you're not speaking, and try to be in a quiet area. If you're not in a quiet area, just stay on mute, just to help preserve the quality of the broadcast. And I will make sure to plug Justice. Her email address is justice.asap@yahoo.com. Again, it is justice.asap@yahoo.com. Her email, her blog address is justdojustice.today.blogspot.com. Again, it is justdojustice.today.blogspot.com. She added new posts. She has a brand new post with diagrams and all kinds of stuff. So check out her blog. She would really appreciate it. And leave comments. She would appreciate that as well. The question, I'm going to open the phone lines up now. The first question that I wanted to ask, though, if you were able to see the commercials, did people catch that NFL commercial where Michael Richardson popped up? Did anybody else see that? And did anybody else have thoughts on that? Because he was in that commercial twice, not once, but twice. Everybody that called in that has a hand up, your line is open. So that would be the first thing I would like to hear about. The NFL commercial, did you see Michael Richardson in it, and did you have thoughts around that?
Peace. I didn't see the commercial, but you keep saying his name wrong. It's Michael Richards. And while you were talking, I did some more research on him and was pretty disgusted to see that after that incident in the comedy club, he was also put in some children's movie as a voiceover, Cat Talk or something, and I don't know, he got all other types of projects. Like, white people are making sure that he can continue to support himself. They could care less, but that's their nature. I'm not at all surprised.
Oh, greetings, Gus, and to the other callers out there. I did not get a chance to watch the Super Bowl or to preview the commercials, but when I saw that your discussion was going to be on the commercials, I made it a point to try and preview them. And I have to agree with you, when I did see the one with the Michael Richards, he did appear in those commercials twice. And I have to agree with the previous caller, it seems that they're trying to revive their career, because Joan Rivers, with her comment that she made about Michelle Obama, and then Michael Richards with his comment that he made with the N-word. So they're trying to get these people integrated back into normal society and make it seem that, okay, they are funny people, let's forget any issue of racism and bring them back into the mainstream. Those ad agencies are also, if you would check to see where they are, they're all owned by people, so-called people who classify themselves as Jews, who ran those ads. So that is why you're seeing that they're trying to give them those redemption qualities.
I don't even think that it's like they're needing to be redeemed. They're being rewarded for being racist in a way that should slip by black folks who are asleep. I mean, the whole thing is
their images up as well, because Michael Richards didn't have any. You didn't hear about him. He was kind of ostracized. He was not really doing much in the mainstream. So he's trying to come back into the main fold, and one of the ways of doing it, how more so wholesome than a good all-American football game and a funny commercial, so-called funny commercial, to make him seem that, oh, remember the good old days when he was on Seinfeld and it was so funny.
Yeah, and my argument is that I don't feel like he was ostracized. I feel like they allowed him to kind of take a back seat and to do some public apologies because that's kind of, you know, they're going to give a public apology, but behind the scenes, this man has continued to have a source of income. He's in major motion pictures. We're making appearances on TV shows. He didn't do the stand-up anymore or whatever, but no, there was no slap on the wrist even. It was just, you got to give the apology. I mean, that was it, the apology. And he was all, oh, my bad, you know. It was like that. It was whatever. And it was like on like Conan or some other popular late-night TV show, which was just really more way for him to get more publicity. No, they don't get punished for stuff like that. But it is required for them to say sorry.
Gus was mentioning about Doritos being owned by Pepsi, and the CEO of Pepsi, she's a non-white, non-black female from India. So it would seem that it's kind of somewhat disheartening to see that this woman, who's the head of the PepsiCo, and they're running this racist type of ad targeting non-white people. So apparently she is not on her job, and she needs to be, someone would need to get in contact with her office, because her office right here in Atlanta in Dunwoody, that's where the headquarters, I believe it is, for Pepsi. So she needs to be in contact also to let her know that we are not too pleased with the product, because I never did care for Coca-Cola. I was more of a Pepsi fan. But after finding out that Pepsi owns Doritos and remembering their past escapades with their commercials, I will definitely avoid products that are under their labels.
Hello. Hi to everyone. This is Pam. I'd like to add also that I think it's even more important that the white public and perhaps the black public sees that people are rewarded for degrading black people. I think that's even really the bigger goal. I believe that they may go ahead and let these people work, but I don't think they really care about them. I think it's more important the message that when you're a racist like Dr. Laura Schlesinger, she got some big deal, I think, shortly after. XM. Right. So I think it's more important for the white audience and the white collective to see that degrading black people has its rewards. And, so I think that's really the real message. And also to show black people that, to get black people accustomed and programmed to the idea that being degraded is normal. So I think it's, I personally think they have a much bigger agenda than making sure that Michael Richards has income. I think the agenda is they're setting the stage for massive scapegoating because of a coming economic collapse. So they're not doing all this stuff just to practice racism. They're doing it with the end goal in mind. And I think it's a very, very dangerous situation that black people are being placed in. And as far as contacting the company, I used to think that was a good strategy, but I don't think it anymore. I think the company really doesn't care. I think black people need to stop communicating with white people about practicing racism and start taking action. And that would mean not participating. Don't buy the product. Let them figure it out. When you don't buy the product and you don't support the company, let them figure it out. You can tell them why you're not doing it, but frankly, I don't believe, unless you can do it on a massive scale, I don't believe they really care. They got their own agenda. They know they're practicing racism. They're doing it on purpose. If they cared about our feelings, they wouldn't be doing it.
You're right, Pam, about that, because it seems that they have other consumers that they ship their products to in other areas that would go ahead and buy it, even if the ones over here in the United States does not buy it. They have other areas in the world that they can ship it out to where non-white people live and sell their products over there.
Right. I don't think they're going to stop. I think perhaps at least we can not be guilty of contributing to it, but I think we've got to learn to take action and not necessarily telegraph what we're going to do, just do it. Because I think the more communication we have with them, the more the communication becomes the effort rather than doing something. I think the talking takes the place of action. So I started to contact State Farm, and then I thought, why would I do that? Now, I could cancel my State Farm policy and tell them why, But talking with no action, no follow-up action, is a waste of time. Unless we're willing to take action and make a sacrifice, they don't really care what we think.
No, they don't care what you're saying. They don't care if one person's going to cancel their policy either. If the rest are just mesmerized and hypnotized and going along with the program. I believe that we just need to completely not have anything to do with them at all. I was wondering, Gus, why you said at the beginning of the program that black nationalism is anachronistic, because what I'm on right now is just simply unplugging with the Matrix, getting up with some other black folks who ain't trying to use their currency or nothing, and not trying to pay this white man rent or nothing. I'm an original person. This is my earth. I wish they would tell me that I need to pay them rent to stay on earth. Drink water.
The reason that I said that at the beginning of the program is because the foundation of this program and the foundation of my view of what's happening on the planet is that there is no way to exit the matrix if the matrix is the system of white supremacy. There is no place to go where you will no longer be under the dominion of white people. Now, that doesn't mean, at least from my perspective, that doesn't mean, well, forget it. We should just be reckless with the way we spend money or with the way we do things. But it does mean I'm not going to be able to go somewhere and say, okay, I am officially done with white people. I don't have to have contact with them anymore. My problems are solved. That's not what racism, white supremacy means, and that's not going to do anything. There are a lot of non-white people who do not have direct day-to-day contact with white people. They're non-white people who've never seen a white person. They're still victims of white supremacy. That's what I've concluded, and that's why I said black nationalism is anachronistic thinking.
Okay, well, I respect your opinion. I'm going to continue to attempt to escape the matrix. I'll let you know how it goes.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hey, good evening. Yeah, I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but I saw a few of the commercials. Just to piggyback off of what Pam said, and also to piggyback what Gus said, they do a really good job at controlling the images. And I mean, I'm sure I won't be in a situation where, I'm eating Doritos, not that I do, that a white person will actually, suck my finger like that. But I do think those images bring about, just makes it okay, just even in the most subtle way joke about white supremacy. And then you have the situation where, that was spoke about earlier, where a group of white people are practicing white supremacy and the non-white person doesn't know. And what I got from the commercial I liked the least was that Bud Light commercial, just how enthusiastic the black female was, that she was getting a house makeover, a kitchen makeover, and then she still, although if she was disappointed, she still went along with the mindlessness of that it just being alcohol. She as excited as she was, it still wasn't a rebellion against getting that, and I just thought that demonstrated our dependability on the system, and that's where I think Gus is coming from with his view that no matter where you go, they've done such a consistent job at making sure non-white people are dependent on the system. And I'm in Louisiana, and my wake-up call every day is Katrina. That's really, I revert back to thinking about that anytime I have to get my head straight, so to speak. So, yeah, and a good show. Well, not a good show. It's a horrible show, actually. But I see him practicing a lot of we see the homoeroticism. It's more prevalent now. But a show that, and it's about football, is Blue Mountain State. It's about college football, but it's very homoerotic. And then you can also see how they do the black players are like the black player. So, but it's a really bad show. So just to warn anybody, it's like Revenge of the Nerds. That college Greek atmosphere. So.
A lot of homoeroticism in Revenge of the Nerds. The new people that called, your line is open as well.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple of notes about some things. First and foremost, Tyler Perry is coming out with 2 new movies, so you can get ready for that. You can start planning a show around for that because he has 2 movies coming out. I know one by the summer. I don't know when the other one is coming out. That one will probably be out later this year. Also, the movie trailer commercials, the Los Angeles one, that one is really based on aliens coming down to Earth to colonize the world, ally, the Britons colonizing the world. So that's really linked to white supremacy. I mean that's really their story, but in alien form.
When Gus was speaking about commercials with the Doritos, they had one. I don't know if they played it last night. The one with the black player was the black male, and the white male was in a sauna, and he had a bag of Doritos between his legs, and the white man reached over and put his hands into the bag, and all he heard was the crunching, and then you looked out, you saw this man had these bag of Doritos between his legs. That, to me, I thought it was very, very improper. I don't know if that was played last night, but that was one of those commercials.
Can I be heard?
Yep.
I think that 3 things. One, I walked into work today and was speaking with one of the non-white black females that I work with, and I asked her the question about the Super Bowl commercials. I asked her, what did she think about them? And her response was that they were stupid. And so for me, I paid close attention to her response and realized that there's still a level of confusion amongst our people, and these things are still so trivial to them. Second thing that I wanted to mention is the 3rd installment of Zeitgeist is out, and I had a chance to view it over the weekend. And I think that would be something that we could probably talk about in the near future, because I saw a lot of white supremacy in that particular documentary. And the third thing is last night watching during the Super Bowl, watching the commercials, I think the one that I quickly blocked out and going onto the site just now and looking at the photo bucket and the images was the one where the gentleman who by the end of the commercial was dressed up as a woman. Now in the beginning of the commercial he started out as a white man in, I believe it's Alaska, and he had on the flannel, he had a full beard, and as the commercial went on, he became less masculine and more effeminate as he went on, cutting the beard, cutting his hair, changing his clothes, becoming more, I guess, metrosexual. Then he went into homosexual, and then by the end of the commercial, he was a full-blown transvestite. I thought that was such a visual overload till I immediately blocked that out and completely forgot about that commercial. It was just that tragic, in my opinion.
It's just the one that was most disturbing is the one that Gus mentioned about the Chrysler commercial with Eminem and him walking into this church with these choir members all dressed in a robe, and he walking in the depiction come to mind with the Jesus image, the Savior, the white man that they made into the Savior of the world, and these people in the background of the backup singers, and here he comes walking in, and he's going to save Detroit and driving in a black car. It's just the whole image, and it would just go right over people's head because people would think, oh, it's so great that they're doing a commercial about Chrysler. They're trying to bring back the Motor City, but you're not looking to see who it is that the whole psychology behind the imagery that they're pushing.
So what did he say? Because I had the volume turned down when I watched it. I mean, I heard somebody say, he said, this is what we do. But is that all he said? Because they were singing. And then when he walked in, it's like they stopped singing and like almost kind of like halfway bowed in a way. Is that all he said? This is what we do?
I think he said this is
Detroit. I'm just saying, but bringing back the imagery of Detroit, bringing back the decrepitness of Motor City, and resurrecting it, so to speak. Let's just put it in the terms that they're trying to evoke, because you see all of the boarded up, shuttered down buildings, and there it is, this white man driving through the city in this black car, telling him that he's going to revive the city, and he is so all going to resurrect it and bring it back to life. Walked into this building with these black choir members, and they're all just singing just come to a halt. So it just gives you this resurrection imagery all over again coming from the Bible. And the white man
is God.
Do you guys think that they're trying to prepare everyone psychologically for the new slavery? That they're pushing that, just like they had that Republican Women's Fall Board meeting last year, and the South Carolina president, the president of the South Carolina Senate came dressed as a slave master and flanked by two black males dressed as slaves. Do you think that that's where we're headed?
I think some of us are already prepped. Some of us are already ready. I agree.
And we don't take it seriously either. Remember the gentleman on one of your callers, you were talking about, you talked to a non-white female employee, and she just said it was stupid. Most of the black people, in my experience, if you talk to them, even if they see a little bit of what's going on, they really don't think anything bad can happen. They don't take it seriously at all. They just figure, well, those are those racist white people. But the good white people, this is what they're really thinking. The good white people are not going to go too far. We just have to deal with the ones that have bad taste.
Yeah, you're right.
There are 2 minutes left in the. Hang on one second. There are 2 minutes left in the live feed. So if you are interested in calling to listen, share your views, the number is 347-215-6071. You should probably call right now. And if you're interested in speaking, press 1, and we can get your line. Excuse me. We can get your line open. Yeah. Thanks. Mr. Nero, your line is open, and the person that called in, 5772, your line is open as well.
Give me a few minutes, Gus. I'll mute my line now.
Mm-hmm.
If I can, I'd like to point out something that I picked up from someone by the name of Dedrick Muhammad from a project of the Institute for Policy Studies. And one of his key findings is findings is that he states here that it will take more than 537 more years for blacks to reach income equality with whites if the income gap continues to close at the same rate it has since Dr. King was assassinated. And for what that says to me is that we have at least another 537 years of white supremacy. And so I've concluded that we have two basic choices. One, continue going in the direction we are headed and wait for to catch up with white supremacists 537 years down the road, or we could completely refrain from participating in this current system. And I think that non-white people, particularly black people, because we're catching the most, the brunt end of this system, we have to do some serious soul searching about where we're at today. And I've concluded that when white people, if we continue in this direction, white people will dominate us for as long as they're able to. And or the alternative is that we can become codified and begin to eliminate this system somehow, some way. I think that non-white people have to develop this code in all areas of people activity, and we've got to do it at once. And because ultimately what I'm saying is that if we become codified, white people will be less and less able to practice deceit, and we know what's going to happen at that point. When they're no longer able to use deception and deceit, they will come at us in a violent manner. But that's where I say we have to really do some soul searching, and we have to come to a realization: do we want to continue on this path, or do we want to see if they're capable of practicing justice, or we're wiped out?
I need a little bit of time at this part of the show, because that idea has been expressed twice now, and in my opinion, that is a major error. The idea that there's somewhere you can go and not be under the control of white people, as though there's some way that you can not be under racism, white supremacy. I have concluded that is not possible, and I have concluded that is a part of our confusion about what racism, white supremacy really means. So I want to take some time to address this. I'm going to make a request. I think, Pam, based on reading your book, I think you have an understanding, global system. There's nowhere that you can go to not be under white supremacy. I'm going to share my thoughts, and then I'm going to ask you if you would share your thoughts on this, if you think that's accurate, and how you would explain that to someone. And Mr. Nero, if you are able, after Pam is done, I think you've been here long enough. I think I hope that you have a view on this that is logical and informed. So after she's done, if you could share your thoughts on this, that would be great. My thought on this is that I'm not saying making an effort to be miserly, really, with regards to spending, and saying I'm not going to have, this super mortgage and 8 cars and all that stuff. That is totally logical, constructive, and I think we should do it. That's a part of this program, pointing out all this racism in these commercials, in these products, that we should really be like, hey, we're in a total system. You all can't even make Doritos without practicing racism, white supremacy. You can't even sell, a can of soda without talking about racism, white supremacy. That's what total system of white supremacy means. There is no place you can go on the planet and say, well, I'm going to go here. There are no white people here, so I don't have to give them any money. They don't control me. That's not true. White people can come anywhere you think you are going to go. White people will have to give you permission to be there. Now, either that's true or it's false. If you think you can go out in the woods and stay someplace, that's true. You could probably do that on the planet. There are probably lots of places you could do that on the planet. However, if we're under white supremacy, that would mean, should they find you there or decide that they want that area, you're going to be gone, like today. That's what it means. And I am highly doubtful that you're going to be able to do too much hiding in this system. In a prison, and that's one of the best examples for explaining what racism, white supremacy means. In a prison, there is no spot where you can go and say, okay, the guards don't have control over us here. The best you can do is hope that you can hide out for a little while, but you have done nothing to change the power dynamics of how that prison system operates. And that is what racism, white supremacy means. We have to destroy the system. There's nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. Total system of domination. Pam, could you share your view on this subject?
Yeah, it's very distressing to admit that I agree with you, because, the natural inclination is to think, well, I'll just get out of the system. But like you said earlier in the program, that there are places where non-whites have never even seen a white person, and white people are controlling their lives. In Africa, everywhere in the world, you see white supremacy everywhere, even when people can't feed themselves and they're living in so-called primitive conditions. A lot of the reasons they can't feed themselves is because white supremacy has been there and poisoned the water, destroyed the soil. So at this present time, I do not see any way. I think the only real agenda that non-white people or black people have to have is to work to destroy the system. I don't know what it is, but I do not think they can live in peace with anyone. And if we weren't here, they'd be fighting each other. So there is just something about their nature that is not going to ever, and I know people are hopeful that white people will somehow be convinced to practice justice, but we should know better by now. They're not going to do it unless they have no choice, and I don't know what that no choice will end up being. Of course, I think I know, but I don't really want to say it on the air. But I don't see how. I think the only option is the system has to be totally destroyed. I don't see any other way.
Mr. Nero, if you're there and you are able to speak, I would appreciate hearing from you. If you're not, there's no worries. We can get back to you later.
I need about 2 more minutes, Gus, and then I'll be able to respond.
Okay, no worries. We can give you 2 minutes, 3 if need be. You have to check the show page for the description to see if we're broadcasting tomorrow. Again, I'm just waiting confirmation. The author of My Princess Boy segment, it's been on the news a lot. I was going to say the Today Show, but they've been on a lot of programs. This racially ambiguous person who has a non-white child, male, in a dress. She's written a children's book about this. The author, Cheryl Kilo-Davis. Tentatively, we're looking at tomorrow evening. That would be Tuesday, February the 8th, showtime, 10 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, and 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. Cheryl Kilo-Davis should be interesting. We have some other other programs down the road this week as well. But I'm hoping that one will come together tomorrow. Interested in getting her racial classification cleared up because I have some confusion about that. I'd like to get that cleared up once and for all. So if nothing else, it'll be good for that. Let's see. Anything else I want to put? Oh, Tater Pie. She made, again, whole web page, subject-specific clips from the cows. It is cowsclips.blogspot.com, cowsclips.blogspot.com. Check it out. Great clips. And you can make suggestions if you have clip ideas. And my bad for mispronouncing the gentleman's name, Michael Richards. Good catch, Michael Richards. I think that might have been 2 minutes. Do you need a little more time, Mr. Nero?
I think I'm in a quiet place now. Okay. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, greetings to you, sir. Greetings to all the callers, Pam. Not sure who else that just called in.
Hello, Mr. Nero.
But, hey, how's it going?
Okay.
Yeah, I listened to the comment about money, and my response to that is as follows. When I was more confused about the system, I, too, once thought that it was about just money and black people doing the right things. We just need to pull our pants up, stop mistreating each other and take care of our offspring, things of that nature. I was once there years ago. But what Mr. Fuller's work taught me, along with other people's work, is to stop looking at the system at the ground level, so to speak, and take a 10,000-foot view with a wide-angle lens and begin to see other things that you just have never considered. And once I began to do that, I began to see how they control everything. Time, religion, you name it. Not just the 9 areas of activity, but also how people think. They also control people's emotions about things. And this, in my opinion, leads us to be more confused about how to get out of this problem. So we can't run from it. You can't go someplace in Africa. You can't go someplace in Sri Lanka or anywhere else in the world, because I think the fact that they have created a globe, a map of everything, right there was saying we got it all in our hands. And they even write a song about it. Got the whole world in his hands. He got the whole wide world. Who do you think they're singing about? When that song says he's got the whole world in his hands, he is talking about the racist man and racist woman. They got it all.
Wow.
China, you can't go to China enough. Those people are slaves. 1.3 billion population. Only 300 million of those people are even living at a so-called middle-class level. You got almost 1 billion people living at the poverty level. They're slaves. I'm tired of when I hear, non-white people so confused about it, thinking that China is this great nation, that they're fighting racism. Who do you I pick up people all the time going to the airport to China. You know what color they are? You know what they're classified as? As white. The Chinese are buying their escalators from them. They're buying their elevators from them. Everything that they're doing, white people are telling them how to do it, including their government. They did not come up with the concept of communism. And now they're trying to get the Chinese to switch to democracy. In other words, you're going to take orders from us.
Yeah.
You got to look at this thing from the 10,000-foot level. We got to stop looking at it from the ground. And I'll mute my line.
Well, because it does get confusing. I'll even admit that is confusing to me, is what is really happening with China. Because I don't believe when the white supremacists act like, oh, boy, the Chinese really got us over a barrel. I know that they would never, ever admit to that if it was true. So it kind of makes you wonder, but now that you said what you said, I have to take a much closer, a big picture look at it, because, wow. Man.
It seems to me that the Chinese are just the newest version of racial showcasing confusion. I could be wrong.
I would say that's a pretty accurate statement. That's been my assessment of China as well as India, that it's racial showcasing.
Yep, because they definitely control in India, no doubt about it. I guess you can kind of tell, maybe, I don't know if this is accurate or correct or logical. Maybe you guys can let me know. But it seems to me that whenever you have people in a non-white nation who are trying to become more Western, they're done. Stick a fork in them. When Indians are, elevating the lightest Indians, when Chinese people are paying white people. I read this article one time where they were paying white people just to be around. I forget exactly what they were doing, but they were literally paying them just to be visible or something they were doing. And, of course, the Western look for a lot of Asian women. So I think when you see that happening in the country, I don't know on what scale, then you know that they've been infected with white supremacy. So
and don't forget, it wasn't... Oh, I'm sorry, Pam.
No, that's okay. I'll finish.
Don't forget, it wasn't that long ago that Japan was in control of China. It wasn't a small nation like Japan was running China. Wasn't that long ago. Now, we know what kind of wake-up call Japan got.
Yeah.
About thinking they're in charge.
That's amazing.
Thinking they're running something.
Right.
Craziest man and racist woman showed them in one day.
That they were yellow NIGGERs.
That is correct.
Because they never dropped it on the white population.
Nope. Told them straight up, we'll take over for China for now. That's ours now. Now you got to deal with these two big bombs we just dropped on you. They still have children born with birth defects from that.
And they're engaging in child stealing.
Yeah. Well, look, they're taking our black babies. And black people are applauding it. It is the most infuriating, stomach-turning thing to see these, I call them white female saviors. These white female saviors, single, divorced, living lifestyles that are not conducive to raising a white child. And they're taking these black babies almost like it's a fad. But I think there's something else, because these white females, these single white females, are taking mostly black male, dark-skinned babies. And they're not going after mulatto babies. They're going after the darkest babies they can find, and most of the time they're male. So, and black people are just applauding and clapping. Oh, wonderful! As though we're relieved to be relieved of the burden of caring for our own children. And I mean, it's like slavery. I mean, they got money, so they buy a baby, and we seem to think it's okay. But I tell you one thing: if you flip that script and call yourself a rich single black female trying to adopt a white baby, see how much success you have. Because white people know their children are the most valuable resource. They're the future foot soldiers of white supremacy. They're not going to let us get our hands on their children. But we sit there and think it's a privilege. And what kills me too is black single mothers who are raising black boys catch much hell for being single mothers raising boys. But these white females are getting credit for raising black boys, and they don't even have a black people around them. They don't have a husband. What kind of nonsense is that?
Not only the white women, you have these gay white males also, and gay white females who are also given black children to rear. So we all know, as you said, they are trying to raise a whole new buffer class because these children will have loyalties to the white people who raised them, and none towards their black, towards the black race.
Right. And a lot of, it bothers me too. A lot of them are male and melanated, very melanated males. So we talk about this in the second book, and try our best to make it sound just as unsavory as it is, because there's something very perverted and very white supremacist about this whole thing. Taking children, they took the Aborigines children. There's an article called Stolen Generation, and if you Google it, you'll see that the travesty of what they did to the Aborigine people over, I forget how many years, literally took their children from them and justified it by saying that the Aborigine people were too poor to provide for these children. So they took the children, and if you look at America, they're setting the stage for the same thing, that they can justify taking our children because we are not prepared. They make these movies where black people are terrible parents, and then they create economic conditions where it's difficult to parent, and I believe that they're setting the stage to do similar things right here in America, where they're going to start taking more and more of our children from us.
Well, they've already done it. Remember, they had the blueprint where they did it with the Native Americans, where they decimated these people, and then they took their children and put them into these schools and give them Anglicanized names, and they could not speak their native tongue, and did all of these things to these people. So now that's why these Native people, they're trying to go back and reclaim their history and trying to teach their children the language, because the white people, within a matter of 50 years, have destroyed a lot of the native customs in this country.
Right. In Australia, the Aborigine people were the majority, and they were the original people. They're only 2% now of Australia's population. That shows the devastation of what the white supremacists have done to a whole race of people. 2%. Wow.
The person that called in 2177. Your line is open. 2177.
Hi, Gus. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi,
Kima. How are you doing?
Okay, go. We won. No, I'm just kidding. They going on and on about this, and it's getting on my nerves. And I have a question. I noticed that Aaron Rodgers is going to Disneyland. I'm just wondering, what's the connection with that? Do you know what that connection is?
They always do it every year for the Super Bowl. They always send them to Disney.
I was wondering, why is that? Why do you think that is?
Oh, no. I guess it's the fantasy kingdom. They're trying to still push that image onto the American people.
Some people believe that the whole Disney thing is very satanic, and so I think they're also practicing not just white supremacy, but Satanism too.
Yes, sorcery.
Without getting all religious, but a lot of their rituals, a lot of things they do are very symbolic.
Mhm. Yeah. Remember saying what Dr. Africa was speaking about with the Halloween symbolism and all of these things that you take innocently and you go along with it, and not knowing that you're practicing a part of witchcraft and demonic worship.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think that this idea, theory, that if we can just get somewhere away from white folks, that everything will be all right, is nothing new. If I'm not mistaken, the country called Liberia was created for black folks who wanted to get far away from, or for black folks that were being, that wanted to return back to Africa. And if anybody knows about the history of Liberia, they know that just didn't work out quite well for us.
Yeah.
Of course it did not, because Liberia have a lot of rubber, and when the automobile industry came into play and they needed rubber for the tires, that's exactly where they went to. They went to Liberia and started pushing these people off and creating conflict. The same thing they did with the Congo. So these people, they want all or nothing. They don't believe in sharing anything. That's their nature. They are greedy, selfish people, and we have been a sharing people, but these people do not believe in sharing.
Nope.
And that's why it irks me, as you said, when you see these people. I was in the store today, the grocery store, and I saw two black males, very melanated males, pushing a grocery cart with a white female. And I know the look that he gave, because I looked the looks that I gave both of them, and he knew exactly why. He had straight hair, like he run a pressing comb through his hair, standing straight on his head, and he was pushing a grocery cart behind this female. And then this other male came in the store with this out-of-weight white female and two children that he just walked past me, and I just looked at him, and I guess he probably knew, and he just kind of hung his head and looked the other way. It's a total disgrace. These people are so oblivious to what they're doing, they're not realizing what they're doing to themselves and to their children.
Yeah, they're pretty much lost, actually dominated. You know, it was interesting. I'm so glad you said that, Gus, earlier about the white female being, I forget the term you used, but a lot of us have downplayed her role. But in reality, in my opinion, she is the one that is taking over in many respects. I mean, like, she's going up the corporate ladder, and she wants to practice the racism that the white male practices, only without the sexism to inhibit her. So she has his nature. She has every intention of dominating non-whites. She is dominating non-white males sexually, and non-white males think it's a compliment, but she is in control and she is dominating. Hello? Hello?
Are you there, Pam? Are you there?
Yeah, I thought I had an echo.
Okay.
Speak. Oh, I don't know what's going on.
Hear that or them again.
Well, I'll wait before I say something else. Maybe it's my line that's messed up.
No, it's fine now. We can hear you well now.
Yeah, they're very, very dominant. Matter of fact, I have a friend, and we put this in the second book, a good friend of mine who, one of the co-authors, as a matter of fact, and he works in the IT field, and he was saying how Indian men, you know, because there's a lot of Indian men in the IT field, and he said that, you know, some had, you know, one had come to him, was talking to him, and said, man, we got to get out of these corporations. He said these white women are trying to wreck our families. If they're coming, you know, like in one case, this one Indian man said that the white female, you know, I guess she worked there, walked up to him like, don't you walk away from me.
Very aggressive they are. I deal with them on the job. Mm-hmm. They are worse than their male counterpart because their male counterpart is more subtle. But these white women, they're abrupt and they are very, very aggressive with you. And that is why I cannot understand why we always seem to want to form coalition. And when they're talking about this gender issue or they're talking about this equality and all of this foolishness to get us into their groups to pad their numbers, and then they move on because it's all about them. It was never about you. They just want women to build up their numbers, but they don't care about us.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, how could we even think that they, with practicing racism and think that somehow once sexism is eliminated, they're going to stop practicing racism? I mean, I had to laugh because it's just, you know, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, she's been his co-conspirator. She benefits from it. She has no more interest in abolishing the system of racism than the white male is.
Remember, she went home and told him that this black man touched her, he didn't step out of the way fast enough, and a racist man would go and get his friends together and just go and do a drive-by and pick up this black man and do a lynching on him. It was always been the white woman that has always caused the problem in the black community. So I can never understand why these black men always want to end up in bed with them.
I think we're just programmed. It's not just the black men, honestly. A lot of black women secretly are also succumbing. I think we might be less likely, but I think that that's one of the biggest secrets, which we talk about in the second book, is the sexual secret relationships between black females and white males. I think black people are so programmed to want to please white people that it almost goes into automatic. If a white person wants you to do something, like commit a crime, look at all the people that have committed stupid crimes for $200 or $300. It wasn't the money. It was the idea that we have been programmed since slavery to want to please and appease white people. And I think that carries over into the sexual activity. You know, and I think black people have a very difficult time telling white people no. You know, this white male, as a matter of fact, I was reading something the other day where I think it was in the Pieces of a Puzzle by Renethia Tate. I think it was in that book that one white man that she interviewed said that why do these black females give in? Because they're afraid to say no. I think that's what he said. So I would highly recommend that book. I haven't finished it.
Yeah, I bought it. I just got mine a couple of days ago.
Okay, good. I wish she would come out of hiding though, because I'd love to have have her on this, see if Gus could get her on the show. But
I think black females are fast catching up to black males in the interracial sexual play thing, and I think that the most beautifulest of our black females are already had by white males, by white men.
True.
Yeah, white men do not take the rubbish and the refuse. They go after the prime. They go after the educated, right? The educated, professional, well-to-do, successful black women. I mean, the one thing I will say, and this is not a compliment, but white people in general always do better. It seems to do better, get a higher quality black person than black people get a quality white person.
Of course, because as the brother just said, white women, when you go up the corporate ladder, they're made and told that, okay, you cannot find a black mate that's going to live up to your expectations, so why don't you just cross the color line? And, of course, the black male, they're told the same thing, and they always get the most trashy white women to marry. They don't pick the creme that are creme for their white women. They always get the ones, the strippers, the one that works at Applebee's to be their mate, while the white men always get the black women who are CEOs or have a law degree, a doctor or whatever, some kind of professional career. That's who they would always end up marrying.
Yeah, the black male does. The white women at that level are not accessible. When you look at the numbers, 93% of white people, I think it's 91% of white people marry white people. So there's a very small percentage of white people that are interested in marrying us. Now, they might be interested in sneaking around and having sex. And when they do marry non-whites, the vast majority of those non-whites are black people are the least likely choice. So black people, the percentage of black people actually marrying white people is really very small, and black men do not have assets. The white female has no reason to trade her whiteness for financial affluence because she already has it. So it's the lower class white female that's trading her whiteness for money. But the upper class white female doesn't have to do that. She's more concerned with her genetics. She's more concerned with her social standing. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, black men do not fit into that scenario. You know, so they don't have access to those women anyway. Not in the marriage level, not for the most part. So, you know.
I would like to make a point on that too. I noticed too, like for a non-white person, the more they go up the ladder, they see less and less of non-white people, and if they really want to be successful, it's like you got to cut your ties with other non-white people, and that's why it's also hard to find a non-white mate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Black women are in a kind of a really trick bag, you know. I don't know if this is accurate. Maybe somebody can tell me, but I heard this statistic, and I hope this isn't true, but I heard there was 1.8 million more black women in the United States than black men. So I don't know if that's true or not, because they lie so much. So,
yeah.
But I do believe that there are more black women numerically than black men, but what that number is, I don't know.
Well, if you look at what the numbers they have incarcerated in the prison industrial complex, that is why we don't have a greater pool, and you're going to see more and more black male being picked up into their prime, and they're going to put into greater confinement, so that is going to strip the pool that you have left. So the only option that you have is to turn to either other non-white or to turn to the white male for companionship.
Choose them now. If you're going to, don't do, whatever you do, don't choose one of them. Whatever you do, don't ever let it get that bad. Don't ever let it get that desperate, because that's psychological suicide as far as I'm concerned. And I'm never going to get that hard up to do that. I'm training myself now to do what white males do, to not see their sexuality. And it's, and I'm following their lead, and it's working pretty doggone well. I'm not saying that I can control, myself 100%. God knows what to go your way, but that is something that I've made a decision. That's just not doable. I'm just not going to do it. Plus that, I'd probably wind up on forensic files by the time I got through talking to him. He'd have to get rid of me, So.
I'm gonna make another point. Also too, when I was watching the football commentary, I noticed that when they were interviewing the Packers team, the black males had their children with them, and they were black children, and it's like the white commentators is like saying, "Oh my God, they had their children," and I can't believe they would do something like that. And I was like, and it's like if they see a black male doing something positive, it's like it's knocked down.
I also want to say that because I heard the black female saying that the higher you get, or the most successful that you become, the more that you're expected to seek out a mate that's supposedly so-called on your education or economic level. But just think about Tiger Woods. He married a nanny.
Mm-hmm.
That's equivalent to somebody like Tom Cruise coming to the hood and marrying somebody that's on welfare.
See, they look at it as that it's a white woman, so she's a babysitter. It's considered to be, they call it now au pair. They don't say babysitter, they try to give it a French twist, a French sounding name, which is just regular old-fashioned living babysitting.
But I'm just saying that just so that our black females could be very wary of that kind of programming, because that's exactly what it is. They don't want you to have a mate.
Well, that is what they're pushing. They're trying to tell you to strive to be all successful and get to the top in your career. It's always about career, and not anything about family. So that means you're not going to be reproducing anything, because by the time you turn around and you look around, you're going to be in your 40s and your clock is going to stop ticking. Speaking about white supremacy, what Gus was speaking on and what's going on, there's nowhere in the world for you to hide. We have a situation that's going on here in Georgia, and it's around the other countries. There's an association that's called C.O.W.S, which stands for Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, and they do all the accreditation of the schools, elementary all the way up to colleges. If you're not accredited, of course, you can get funding for student loans and other means of furthering your higher education. And they've been targeting a lot of black areas and pulling their accreditation from them. And if you look into this association, you would see it's a private held corporation with predominantly whites on the board. And they're also spreading their branches into foreign countries, because there are American universities in parts of Asia and in Africa. And what they're doing is they're telling these schools, if they want those students to eventually come to the United States and go to colleges over here, C.O.W.S have to be able to come into their country and accredit the schools that these people are going to. So now you're seeing that their arms are reaching into where American association is going into other foreign countries and accrediting their schools in order for these students to be able to come over here to go to school. So it's a global system, and it's becoming more and more insidious as you look around?
I read that I think it was in Louisiana that they're trying to close down, I think it's Southern University, and merge
it with University of New Orleans.
Dang.
Same they were trying to do in Mississippi with Jackson State and Alcorn State. They're trying to merge it with, I think it's Mississippi. A couple of schools in Mississippi, and here in Georgia, they're trying to do Fort Valley and a couple other schools up there. They're trying to merge it with white schools. It's all about getting rid of black schools, and it all falls on the SACs because SACs have a pretty broad reach. Their reach goes all the way into Minnesota and those other areas that they have covered. So they come in and they do accreditation because right now Atlanta Public Schools is on probation. It's a predominantly black school. And now they're moving into DeKalb. They already had Clayton County. They already pulled. That is what took Morris Brown went under is because of them. Now they have 50 universities on their target list as well as Tennessee State. So it's something insidious that they're doing in the U.S. and now they're reaching across the waters into foreign territories to tell these people they have to come in and accredit their universities if those students want to come and go to school in the United States. Oh, Gus, I sent you an email about a prospective guest. His name is Paul Butler. I don't know whether or not you had received this. He is a law professor at George Washington, and he would be an excellent person to speak of because his subject is on jury nullification as well as on racial profiling. He was a former federal prosecutor, so he would be someone. He's a non-white black male, so he would be someone who would be very interesting to have on the program. Speak on that because one of the things that he touched on, I heard him on a few other national shows, that he was stating that what black people can do is any time that you're on a jury, and if there's a drug conviction, you could always go for jury nullification and vote that person not guilty, even though they might be guilty. So just go ahead and vote it not guilty, because it does not make sense what they're doing with the judicial system. So he would be someone very interesting to have on to explain the process.
I got the email, and yes, I will be investigating to see if he'd be willing to come speak with us.
Yeah, and as far as there being nowhere to run, also, I find it, it's kind of ironic because that was the main reason for me moving here to the Atlanta area because, I thought, hey, there's a lot of black people here, we can network and, there's opportunity. And that was my main reason for moving here. And, boy, was I in for a rude awakening.
I felt the same way, too. I've been here 20 years, and I'm getting ready to be in the process of moving again because it did not pan out to be the way how I turned out because these people are very cliquish. And it's all about where do you work, what do you drive, where do you live. It's all about material status symbols.
Yes. Yes. It's about illusional social classes.
Mhm.
If I could just touch back on, I heard someone mention education, and that once again reminded me of China. Does anyone know of a Chinese university that's considered prestigious? Can someone name one?
No. Nope.
No. Never heard of one.
What about an
of
Indian one?
Nope.
Oh no.
Never heard of one. But but those Indians are known as supposedly as great mathematicians, and the Chinese are supposedly known as excellent students.
True. So why don't they have universities that we're familiar with? I'm not saying they don't have them, but how come they're not making that top 10 list? How come we don't know them like you know Oxford?
Yep.
Or Harvard. Now, they're supposed to be brilliant people.
Mm-hmm.
So who's controlling that information?
Exactly.
The people activity. They have it on lockdown, even though those people are outshining all of the students over here, but they don't have that prestige with their schools. They have to come to the United States or go to Europe and have that on their resume to show that they have finally done something with themselves.
I have met many people from those areas of the world that come here to go to school.
Oh, yeah.
And then they bring it back to their country.
That's true.
But the truth is, they come here. Or they go to Oxford or, some other university, I suppose.
We're in Europe. I heard him on the show yesterday. A man was speaking the same thing. He was saying that Nigeria have some of the most brilliant minds, but all of the doctors, there are more doctors that are of Nigerian descent that live in the United States, Canada, and Europe, and they come over here and they get their degrees and they end up staying here and going after the material gains. They do not go back to their country to help their countries out.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that these countries don't see a problem with their relationship with white people, and that they're not, and that some of them are not saying, "Hey, this is incorrect, and we need to try to correct this, and we shouldn't be doing this." I'm not saying that's not going on. I'm also not saying that they have them exactly where they want them, because I believe exactly where they want them is to be Christian like black people, or to be Muslim like Arab people. I don't believe they have in those two paradigms just yet. But that's what I meant when I said, hey, they're not really considering time. However long it takes for them to get them there, it's just how long it takes for them to get them there. But I do believe the goal is to get the Chinese to, admit to being a Christian or admit to being a Muslim or a Jew. I do believe that is one of their goals. Now, they having problems getting their churches in there, but, that is heavily on the agenda to get more and more churches into China. And they even talk about that on Fox News, about how they won't, they persecute church members. They persecute churches. That story seems to come up often on Fox or CNN.
Yeah. You're correct. Because they're always reporting for teachers. If you look around, they have all of these teachers. I'm sure if you go to anywhere in China and India, you would find that a majority of their teachers, it looks as it being a prestigious status. If you have a teacher that's coming out of Europe or from the Americas to teach over there, they're paid more money for doing the same job than a qualified teacher in India would get.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for black people improving the quality of their lives. I have no problem with that, doing that the best way they possibly can. But I think a bigger threat to racist man and racist woman in this area of the world is not black people amassing great wealth, but from unplugging from that system completely. I think they would see that as a greater threat. Doing things based on a sweat equity.
Yeah.
I think they would even see that as a greater threat. But at some point, when that gets to a certain level, they'll just shut that down as well. This is painful for a lot of people. It was painful for me when I finally came to the conclusion You just got to deal with them. Because anything you're trying to do, if you don't have that in the end goal, they'll just shut you down. The goal has to be to stop them.
Yeah. I'm to that point as well. I don't think there's any solution within this system. Anytime anybody tries to bring some kind of fancy solution within this system, my receptors automatically shut down because I came to the conclusion as well. There's no solution under this current system.
Does that mean that the problem can't be solved, or?
No, I mean,
not at all.
I believe it can be solved, but under the current system of racism and white supremacy, there will be no solutions.
Right. And you don't have enough non-white people saying, it's them. They are the problem. If we can just get non-white people on that page right there, it is them.
And I'll be all the way honest with you, because I've talked about this, with my wife in my home. I really feel if enough of us get codified, that the white people will kill all of us. And then when they do kill all of us, they're going to killing themselves. And humanity, as we know it, will not exist. And however we were created in the first place, that process would have to take place again for people to come back to this earth again. That's how I really feel.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
That's an interesting point that you make. If you notice, there's no black country that possesses nuclear weapons. Not a one. All the European countries possess nuclear weapons, so the final solution is at their disposal. Now, as far as ending white supremacy, what do we do about it? Do we have to kill all white people, or do we have to eliminate all the white people, or do we just have to eliminate all the bad white people? Because, of course, the bad white people are controlling white supremacy. However, the so-called good white people are foot soldiers for white supremacy, indirectly and directly involved in white supremacy. So what do we do about that when it comes to finding a solution or coming up with a solution, a strategic solution to end white supremacy? Those are some things that we have to really look at.
Yeah, I would say I don't know, and we would have to see what would be the reaction of average everyday white people to the system of justice. I mean, would they be uncomfortable with it? Would they be because they are benefiting largely through the system of racism and white supremacy. So we would have to see what would their reaction be to justice. Would they be all right with that? Would they? I don't know. It's kind of I don't know.
I have concluded, just based on my understanding and my perception of Dr. Welsing's work and her theory of white genetic annihilation, white people value white supremacy more than justice. I believe that their thinking is that if we do not have white supremacy, we will not exist. I believe that they're thinking, I'm not saying it's accurate, I'm just saying I think that their mentality is such that white supremacy is the only system that they can exist under. If it's not white supremacy, we will perish. It's like white supremacy or die. Like that's just, nothing else is an option for them. And I believe everything about their behavior exhibits, even it's in Planet of the Apes. They are willing. Charlton Heston even is playing the character. They are willing to blow up the entire planet as opposed to allow anyone other than them to be in control.
That's why I say they all possess nuclear weapons. All the large economic white countries possess nuclear weapons. Let's touch on the genetic annihilations. I know that you talk about not having sex with non-white people, or rather white people, rather. Let's examine the genetic annihilation. Why not mate with white women, and just breed them out?
Because they're in control. Because they're in control. Because they're in control, white people, of all areas of people activity. As Mr. Fuller says, anytime a white person and a non-white person engage in sexual intercourse, that white person is the one who does the choosing every time. Even Tiger Woods and his white nanny, the white person is the one who does the choosing. They would be in charge of whether or not this sex is going to go down. I think the record shows when white people, the most powerful white people, say no sex with white people and black people, they get serious about that and bring muscle to make sure that it doesn't happen. And if it does, they deal with it however they want to. I think the record book shows that. They have the ability to control whether that's going to happen or not. We don't.
Well, I think a strategic strategy. The whole show was based around media, commercials. Media plays an integral role in how we are shaped, our psyche, pretty much. Media has brainwashed almost everybody in America. Why don't we have a media platform? Why don't black folks have a media platform? I think that would be a powerful weapon against white supremacy. I think that would be one of the most powerful weapons against white supremacy. Why don't we have some type of media platform able to push our message?
What do you mean when you say media platform?
Movies, television stations, radio stations, any that can communicate a message to black people, to non-white people. That's how they've gotten to us.
Correct.
What do you think this is?
Yeah. I
want to answer your question, sir. Hang on one second, because I want to answer your question, because I think it's a very important one, and we only have about 2 minutes left in the program, so I want to make sure we get an answer to your question before it ends. My response, and I could be incorrect, everyone think for yourself, no sacred cows, nobody. Even Mr. Fuller, I think Mr. Fuller, he would be the first person to tell you he has been retarded too, and that you are supposed to be thinking for yourself. But my response would be, you don't have media platforms, quote unquote, under the system of white supremacy, or you don't have as many of them because we are in a system of white supremacy. White people decide what black people are going to have, what black people, non-white people are going to do or not do. You have black people who have attempted to purchase television networks and been refused. They had the money and white people would not allow them to do this. You had black people and non-white people who have attempted to make constructive television programs, films, other sources of media that would be of constructive value to black people, and white people have obstructed their efforts, denied them, refused them, sabotaged their efforts. That's what racism, white supremacy means. White people understand the power of images, and they are going to do everything that they can to make sure that all media outlets. I'm getting a lot of background noise. If you're on speakerphone, if you could turn that off or mute your line. At any rate, white people are going to work extra hard to make sure that non-white people are not able to counter all of the degrading and buffoonish images of black people, and that's why you don't see those platforms. Not saying people haven't tried, but just you should expect, and the evidence would show, white people work real hard to make sure that they do not allow that sort of thing under white supremacy. That's why you don't have them. That would be my response.
And I would say